Oh my God.
Come on now.
Oh my God.
You know
we're
what's
literally
up,
live and alive.
You know we had to start it with the Beyond Parody cue because this whole night once again is going to be Beyond Parody.
That's right.
Welcome back to the Hiddo live stream for Debate Night Part 2, everybody.
I hope it's actually working. I hope we're like literally live right now and it's not just a joke.
Yeah, I hope I'm not talking to nobody right now.
I'd be so embarrassed.
Oh, goodness. Now the anxiety waits as the things come through, and I
yes,
wait for everybody in chat to start talking.
Okay. Saying yo. Okay.
Is this starting soon? I swear to God.
Okay, we've made it. We're literally live and alive right now.
Who's watching this debate drunk? Hell yeah, I got my fruit
Just
juice
Gage.
with me right now.
Just Gage.
Let's go, Kate.
Welcome to the second debate live stream. I'm very excited to see what the GOP has planned for us here tonight.
Oh yeah, Aiden.
And I know you're all very excited as well, so thank you all for being here. I'm hoping that we can make it as big as last time, even bigger perhaps.
So.
Even bigger perhaps.
Go big or go home, really. I'll be fucking disappointed. So
love the new merch, guys. I'm glad you like it. I have some on right now. Gage has some from our first merch drop of the summer, actually.
Oh my
if you want one of these or you want one of Gage's, go crazy.
Bro, chill. Thank you so
much.
We just got to fund even more transing of the children now, don't we? That's what I've been saying. That's the unstated project of Head in the Office, the podcast, and the TikTok and other social medias, which you guys should follow us on, which I'm assuming you're probably here. You probably follow us on there. You're probably good people.
That's right.
I assign moral value to whether or not you follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you so much for the 10, though. You guys don't have to do that, but
exactly.
Go crazy.
I have to engage on twin for real. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Anyways,
yes,
we have a little bit to talk about before we get into the live stream that's starting in 56 minutes from now. I know people want to see us do another bingo card. I think we could do that probably right before we start, maybe 15 minutes before. Yeah. But there are some news items we could run through really quickly.
Oh, really? Do tell.
Well, as we mentioned on the pod, if you all have listened by now, which good listeners have definitely listened by
100%.
now. Joe Biden was in Detroit, close to where I live, actually.
Hey, yo, so parade inside my city, come on.
Yeah, and he met with the UAW, and I would imagine he was on the picket line, which is a big deal for a president.
Hell yeah.
So I would imagine that this will be a topic of debate, if not Joe Biden specifically being on the picket line, then certainly the UAW itself and the strike. I don't see how they couldn't ask
They
about
have to talk about the UAW strike. It's such a big deal nationally. One, for like the economy, the repercussions if it lasts too long, but also UAW, huge voter block in battleground states, especially here in Michigan. There's like what I say, like there's like 40,000 UAW workers here. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, someone said they're jealous of your FBI hat.
What can I say, bro?
I get it. Abolish the FBI.
$1? Come on. Come on.
The easy price of $1. Low price.
It's a steal. We had to do it.
But yeah, Joe Biden was on the picket line, the man himself, and apparently the White House put out a little video. I figure we could watch it real quick. And of course we'll be covering this on the show.
Naturally.
But while we wait for the debate to get started, we could go ahead and take a look.
Just got an Era Store t-shirt. Good shit, Sydney.
Let's see if the audio works. There's always something wrong anytime you stream, so we'll see.
We'll get all the kinks out before the debate.
Hopefully you guys can hear this. Oh, is this just like a...
I don't know. Okay. Oh, there he is.
The man.
There's the man.
Looking like he doesn't know where he is.
That's why everyone's around him. They have to escort him.
Bro, scared of Detroit. Yeah, it's a big W.
Trump lost his business license? No way.
The fact of the matter is that you guys, the UAW, you saved the automobile industry back in 2008.
All right, maybe this is just me being a little bit conspiracy brained, but why didn't they have better mics?
Why didn't they have better mics?
This is like the first time a president's ever been on a picket line, at least in modern history, and they didn't have they don't have better audio equipment for this.
But it's even beyond the audio equipment. Why the fuck is he standing on two pallets?
Yeah, I don't know.
They couldn't have brought out anything more for the fucking president of the United States.
Oh my God, V-Dub, thank you so much. Gay trucker and angel investor keep me entertained across the country every week. I pay more for these boys in a month than I do for my Disney Plus subscription. Hey,
let's go.
The money's got to go to the right places. Some people are saying they're getting a little bit of lag. I'm not sure what.
I'm not sure if that's on our end. I can't lie. You know, something's got to go wrong. You know,
it was multiple people saying that. I feel like we went through all the normal precautions. Let me take a look at the settings real quick.
Yeah, naturally. Chill bullhorn. That's what I'm saying, bro. Couldn't have his man step out in anything else crazier.
That's what I'm saying. It says the stream health is good.
Support small businesses. You know, I'm really all about that. Okay, Kay said she's fine now. Maybe it was a little spike there.
I can, YouTube's telling me to up one of our numbers real quick. Hang on.
Okay. You know, just working on some behind the scenes things.
I'm gonna be real. I don't know what most of this stuff means, but I just, I'm rocking with it.
We're professionals at this point.
That's right.
That's all. That's frankly all I can say.
Hopefully that fixed it.
In the meantime, I can run you guys through a fun post that I saw on X, formerly known as Twitter, earlier today. It was a Christie Swiftie posting. It really caught me off guard. Some dude saw a picture of him at the Cowboys game and said, "Ooh, who on the Cowboys is Christie dating?" Obviously referring to Taylor Swift and her NFL boyfriend. And Christie himself, the man, the myth, the legend, quote tweeted it saying, "I was just a guy in the bleachers on Sunday. But after tonight, Trump will know we are never, ever getting back together."
Oh, my
And that
God.
shit made me want to,
do something
that
bad.
shit made me want to do something bad, bro. I can't. Fucking president of Cornball Inc. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of unacceptable.
My vid lags when I'm playing Starfield in the other winter. Well, Baja, why don't you start fielding a job, you lazy fucking leftist?
Oh,
I'm sick of all this, bro. I'm
leftist.
sick of all this.
Oh, my goodness.
Jeremy and I are never escaping the bisexual right now. Allegations. Hey, bro, you said it. That's
Listen,
all I'm
dog,
gonna say.
I've been getting that since... I've always been, ever since we started posting like videos, you know what I mean, to TikTok, it's always been the bisexual Kyle Rittenhouse allegations, and I'm not going to ever get away from it. And you know what? It's my burden to bear. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
It's my burden to bear.
If you want Chris Christie's team approved that tweet, bro, I think it was, I doubt he has a team. I doubt he has enough funding to have a team. He's probably overseeing his own personal Twitter account.
Yeah, he's tweeting himself.
He's got to be doing it. I can't imagine, bro. He's doing his best to try to appeal to the liberals because, after all, he's running as a liberal. But that's, I guess it's time to get back to Mr. Brandon here in Detroit.
Let's take a look at Mr. Brandon from Detroit.
Will you kiss if DeSantis does well?
His city.
You made a lot of sacrifices. You gave up a lot, and the companies were in trouble. But now they're doing incredibly well. And guess what? You should be doing incredibly well too. It's a simple proposition. Just about being fair. And folks, stick with it because you deserve the significant raise you need and other benefits. So let's get back what we lost, okay? We saved them. It's about time them to step up for us. Thank you.
Why does it seem like there's like 40 people in the crowd?
I don't know. They had to have like locked it down.
It must have been like a private event then, not just like any UAW employee you could pull up.
There was definitely like nobody. They did not like allow volunteers to come and strike then, I would imagine. Like I'm guessing that's just workers.
Not.
Like a select crowd of people got to go and see the president give a speech.
And even among workers, it's got to be just a couple.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like a plant coming out to see Joe Biden speak.
Right.
I think this is better posturing for him as opposed to the railroad negotiations. Oh, anything's better than the railroad negotiations, let me tell you. Holy shit, bro. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I do know that Biden got some concessions for the railroad workers. I think sick days was one of the things that he actually managed to get for
like
him.
one sick day,
But he broke the strike, right?
Yeah.
He broke the strike, obviously. And there's no real getting around that. But this is better, and I would imagine that it's going to be something that's brought up in the debate, the UAW stuff as a whole. So,
it's got to be. Maybe they'll play this video like they played the Oliver Anthony video. Just get in there, go great. I wonder how they're going to start this one. I can't. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I guess we'll just have to wait to find out. The other thing that they could bring up, of course, as they brought up last time, is that Trump's not going to be there. Trump's actually going to be in Michigan. I think he's probably in Michigan right now getting ready for his rally that he's doing with an organization, apparently, that fought for right-to-work laws in the state of Michigan.
Hell yeah. An organization that took a massive L recently.
And he's not doing the rally with actual UAW members. He's just doing a rally. in Michigan. So
me when I make
sick.
it about me. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty happy to see that.
Yeah, no, realizing that no other president has gone to the picket line, and this is notable. It is, and it's just that's why I feel like it's just kind of weird that it's not more of an event, you know?
Yeah.
They'll start brainstorming how to break the backs of teachers' unions. I hope he has another banger.
We need
gotta
another
get
banger
out here
like
and
that.
have another banger.
I'll remind you all to share the stream with your friends. Give it a like.
Always.
Obviously, we have a little bit of time before this debate starts, but I appreciate you all for being here. Alexi, thank you so much. You did not have to do that.
No way.
Thank you so much. I didn't even leave a comment for us to read. Just a smooth 10.
It's money, bro. Oh my God.
You got any hot predictions for this debate?
I don't have any predictions. I wonder how they're going to fill the 2 hours, because I feel like 20 minutes last time was spent just like kind of on the Trump question.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to double down on the Trump stuff. I think they'll bring it up again, like blah, blah, blah. Trump's still not here again. What are your thoughts? And just kind of pass it by. I don't think they're going to linger on it. I think they have to bring up the UAW strike.
Mm-hmm.
What do they, I don't know how they're going to fill the 2 hours of time here. Are they going to bring up Ukraine again? There hasn't been any significant fucking updates on Ukraine.
Do we get any wokeness talk this time? Because we really didn't get too much last time. That was
That's
one
true.
spot
we
where I
had
felt
woke
like
one
we didn't get it
time.
right. Maybe we get some Bob Menendez conversations.
Definitely Bob Menendez conversations. Definitely more, and maybe they'll use that to talk about indictments again.
See,
I don't know though.
In a just world, we'd get some Bob Menendez conversations, but also Lauren Boebert discourse. We would get both, but we're not going to get both. You know what I mean? Oh, we might get some. We might get some Fetterman. We might get some John Fetterman's a slob and
dress code.
Yeah, doesn't
Dress code
represent the
discourse?
working people. The real question is, will the cutoff bell be enforced? Absolutely not.
No.
It's not going to happen.
That's the hot take, thinking the cutoff bell will be enforced. Alexia, bro.
Oh my God.
Today was the September LSAT exam score release date. I did all right, better than my first try, taking it again November, so I could not be happier to be in the round 2 of the debate tonight, feeling so much better. Thanks, guys. Well, congrats on your LSAT. I know, although you think you did all right, I'm sure you did better than you think. That's all I'm saying. I wish you best of luck in November when you take it again.
Mm-hmm.
I know how you're feeling. I took the MCAT over the summer. That shit was fucking ridiculous, bro. NPR said the crowd should be less pro-Trump this time. Oh my God, I forgot about our boy Vivek.
Our boy Vivek?
I just forgot he was here, kind of.
Oh, I've been thinking about him a little bit, just because he recently had an interview. I wonder if we could pull it up, where he was, I think it might have been MSNBC, CNN. It was a liberal interviewing him, and she was like hammering him on his parents' citizenship. And I thought it wasn't really in like a racist way. She was more just coming from the angle that it's like, oh well, your father isn't a U.S. citizen, yet you want to end. Both your parents weren't citizens when you were born here, but you want to end birthright citizenship, even though you benefited from it. You're a U.S. citizen because of birthright citizenship. And he really just he didn't have an answer for that.
Damn, get his dumb ass. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I thought it was kind of wild.
What's up, JD?
I just put on a small chat delay, so that might help any of the lag issues that we were having before.
Okay.
But it's only 2 seconds, so it shouldn't be a big issue.
I also think Vivek's been pretty quiet. I know he did that interview. I think he did one other interview with I think another person on MSNBC.
He did
or
one with
CNN.
David Pakman. Did you see that?
No.
That was crazy.
Really?
Deepak went in on him. I thought it was great.
Deepak get his ass?
I love Deepak. He's a sock dem.
Oh
He's just a sock dem, but I appreciate Deepak a lot.
I love one of my favorite Deepak moments is just when he went on Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and was just going in on him.
Oh yeah, I remember
they
that.
Just kept trying to press him over dumb shit. And he's like, "Well,
Deepak is one of the best lately. I don't know what's going on. Past few years, Deepak's been going crazy.
I think he's just been able to like slip through a lot of people's guards." Because he's not like super viral. Like he doesn't have crazy moments like Hassan does. He's not Sam Cedar, and he's not blacklisted from like literally every conservative media outlet. He can just kind of get in there and do his thing.
And he's so calm all the time.
I know.
I do wonder though. So some of the media is taken to questioning Vivek's citizenship. Will Republicans do it? Do you think on stage we will get some racism? Where maybe a Christie, a Mike Pence, someone comes in and they were like, well, you weren't from here.
Is somebody going to do the show me your birth certificate?
Oh my! I mean, in a fair universe, they did it to Obama. One would think.
I mean, all I'm saying,
No,
he
of course
bit
not.
Obama last debate. Somebody's ought to bite that discourse this debate.
He of course doesn't deserve that, but I think it would be crazy.
Alex H.
Oh my God,
Here to
thank you
life,
so
liberty, and the
much.
pursuit of Hiddo. Love you, boys.
I found the interview
love you
though.
too.
At least this is a clip from the interview. It was done by NBC. So let's take a look. I actually haven't listened to this. I just saw the commotion about it.
Someone on Doug Burgum's team is stressed, bro. There's no way they get to sleep at all.
Especially because of us.
Insane.
All right,
yeah.
let's take a listen.
You've talked about your mother's experience with the citizenship test. You've also talked about having something similar for folks who graduate high school in order to vote, having a civics test similar to what your mother took. You've lately been talking on the campaign trail more about your mother than your father, and
She's
folks have been
nervous
asking
to hit him
questions,
on
I
this.
just want to be super clear. Did your father also take the citizenship test, and is your father a citizen?
See, that's crazy.
And you could tell she was nervous to bring that up.
Well, I mean, like it's such a sensitive thing.
And it's a foul thing to ask somebody.
Yes,
It's
yes.
an insane thing to ask.
It's
Thank
damn
you,
near
Caleb.
it's damn near unacceptable to ask.
Jump over to the Trump rally. And just heard about Boebert in the theater.
You just heard about that? We didn't actually really
That's
talk about
nuts.
that on the show.
That's
for
true.
real.
I think we giggled about it a little bit. A little.
All right, let's keep going. I want to hear this. We got to get
He
through
did
one
not.
video.
And that's a choice that he has made for familial reasons. But my mother did. And I think that every immigrant who comes to this country in order to become a full voting citizen has to do the same. And I believe in being consistent about my policies where
So your father is not a citizen of the United States?
he's not.
Okay. And your mother, when did your mom?
This is just a side note, but the difference between the shoes and the bro's wearing shorts or fucking capris.
Holy shit!
I mean,
bro.
go crazy, but I noticed it. Okay, that's all.
Man, see
Okay,
the
this
difference
is
between us and legacy media is after I hit that clarification, where I said, "So your father's not a citizen." He goes, "Yes." I go, "Dumbass."
Yeah, that's the
Dumbass.
debate strategy.
Got him,
Call him a dumbass. All right, let's keep going.
Test, was it before or after you were born?
After I was born.
After you were born. Okay.
After years of being in this, following the legal process of becoming a naturalized citizen, she followed it through the legal process. And I
So
think
you
that- and
you gained citizenship through birthright then?
Well,
Is
but you gain citizenship through birthright citizenship in that sense too, right? I mean, every
So to be clear, he's combating the idea that he's not really even combating the idea. He's just trying to make the point that she has birthright citizenship to the same extent he does, which isn't true, right? He was brought here before he was born, or his parents were here before he was born. He was born on U.S. soil, therefore he's a U.S. citizen. We're obviously in support of that. That's a fine tradition to have. But she's also a U.S. citizen because she was born to U.S. parents. So it's clearly not the same thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that Vivek wants to revoke a lot of the, I don't know, benefits that come along with natural U.S. citizenship, birthright U.S. citizenship, with the whole civics exams to have to, in order to get the right to vote.
Yeah,
And
only
he's-
if you're under 25.
And the thing is that, like, this would probably apply to him and a bunch of his family members, but he obviously isn't going to apply that evenly.
And also, thank you, VDub. You do make my Sundays entertaining. What can I say? Glad I'm able to catch the stream. Glad to see y'all survive the rapture. Also paid for 200 characters. I'm going to get every character I'm paying for, LOL, as you should. That's fucking value.
Real. All right, let's keep going.
American. So what I want to do is revive a vision of citizenship where every kid who
Wait, I'm
enjoys.
sorry, just to backtrack. So your father is not a citizen, your
They
mother...
came to this country legally. They were in this country legally. So my view is
Right.
any kid who is born in this country of parents who are here legally, that's the scope of where birthright citizenship applies. And I think it's a very simple principle.
Bro.
The 14th Amendment says,
See, but here's the thing,
Yeah.
though, right? Is like if Joe Biden and say Congress even came out the next day and said it's no longer illegal to cross the border,
Yeah.
then this doesn't apply anymore. But of course, he wouldn't believe that. What he's trying to say here is that U.S. birthright citizenship should just go away. But he has to toe this line where he says it's only valid for people that are here legally. But obviously, this foregoes complications like tourists or people that are here on student visas or people that aren't full citizens but happen to be here legally for X, Y, and Z.
And it also assumes the thing we talk about every once in a while, where it's that the law is the ultimate arbiter of morality, which it obviously isn't. And it's also crazy to stake this argument on legality when crossing the border illegally is the same thing as getting a speeding ticket, bro. It's a civil infraction. It's not a felony. It's not a misdemeanor. It's a civil infraction.
Also, most people here illegally are here because of overstayed visas.
Yeah.
So if you're here, say your father is here on an overstayed visa, or your eventual father, and then you're born, do you not get citizenship simply because your father's here on an overstayed work visa, for example?
But like, he was here legally. What if your father and mother are here on work visas, have you, and then overstay their visa 2 weeks after you're born?
Right.
Where's the
2 weeks
illegality?
before you're born?
Yeah.
That like is so incredibly complicated to narrow down, which makes me think that he doesn't actually care about any of the nuances, and he just doesn't like immigrants.
Yeah.
And usually when you're a Republican, it's loaded with not liking immigrants from Latin America, of course.
Naturally.
Because immigrants from Canada are fine, immigrants from Scandinavian countries are fine, etc.
Subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof. So anybody who is in this country legally, under the auspices of federal law.
I just fucking hate when motherfuckers retreat to the legally.
Here legally.
Well, legally. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's the same thing
so
as like
annoying.
when Steven Crowder says, oh, well, technically all legal immigrants have broken the law. 100% of them, because they broke the law of crossing the border illegally.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, shut the fuck up. You're just defining it in a way that clearly makes it unfair to them. When you actually look at crime rates, a native-born U.S. citizen is much more likely to commit a crime than an immigrant is, of course. Unless you count the crime of crossing the border illegally, which is like, well, then it's just a way that you're defining it at that point. It's a way you're counting the statistics, which isn't fair.
The kid of that person, whether they've been here for 5 generations, I don't know if that's your case or not, whether they've been here for 3, 4, 5 generations.
Too, actually, by the way.
Okay, I didn't know that. But anyone who is in this country legally.
Legally.
Yep.
Illegally immigrated to the United States.
So the kid of anyone who's in this country legally, whether or not they're an immigrant, that's the scope of to whom birthright citizenship applies. Now, I favor going one step further with this, though. The step I favor going further with is,
if anyone from a brown country comes over here.
We're going to make a list of countries. And it only applies to people not on that list.
God.
But the thing is, like, what he's advocating for is against what the founders wanted.
Yeah.
The founders wrote into the Constitution that you're a citizen if you're born on U.S. soil. And unironically, it's one of the best things that the founders came up with. If you're born on U.S. soil, yeah, you're a U.S. citizen. That makes sense to
Citizens is fake anyway.
Yeah.
It's all fucking made up.
It's all made up, but we're talking about, like, benefits you get access to, legal rights and civil rights you get access to. So yeah, if you're born on U.S. soil, you're a U.S. citizen. That makes sense to me. A lot of countries don't actually do it that way, and it's good that the U.S. does.
I agree.
It's a fair system, I would argue.
Yeah.
Especially since so many immigrants, especially those that cross the border illegally, are just looking for a better life. They're fleeing violence, usually, that the United States caused in their country if they're from Latin America, or sometimes other countries around the globe.
Yeah, no, Ron made a great point in the chat. Vivek is the definition of pulling the ladder up after you get to the top and letting everyone behind you suffer.
Yes. Yeah, it's a ladder kicking exercise. And I'm so sorry that you share a name with Governor DeSantis. It's right. I'm bisexual Kyle Rittenhouse. You're Ron DeSantis. You share a name. Anyway.
You know, we've all got something.
We've all got our burdens. Let's keep going.
And the kids who are here, whether they're first generation or 6th generation, should have to earn all of their civic privileges by knowing the same thing about a country that we require of legal immigrants as well.
Bro, but it's bullshit that we require that anyway.
Right.
It's just bullshit that we make them know it anyway. There's nothing about knowing who the 18th president of the United States was that determines whether or not you're going to be able to contribute to the society you now live in.
Yeah, this almost feels like anti-nationalism, but not in like a leftist way, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you would think that typical nationalists would say something along the lines of, if you're born here, you're entitled to everything America has to offer. But now he's taking a stance that no, you have to pass, let's be real, literacy tests in order to have the right to vote, or even have your other civic rights unlocked. That doesn't make any sense. It's not pro-America at all. It's just anti-young person, because young people aren't going to vote for him or anyone in the Republican Party. At least he's found a solution to that problem.
That's it. Just fuck them. Fuck them. I'm just not going to deal with it.
What if they just couldn't vote?
Yeah, he said, let me lean into this a little bit harder.
18th president, after Abraham Lincoln.
I don't know who the 18th president is either. I barely know who 45 is, if I'm being honest.
Our president. That's who 45
Our
is.
president, exactly.
Should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass in order to become a legal voting citizen. I would also, in our legal immigration system, even bring that citizenship test to the front end, not just on the back end of being a citizen, but even to get a visa to come into this country.
What?
I think we're making English the national language of the United States.
To get a visa, you have to pass a test? A civics test? What are we talking about?
So to get a work visa, I'm coming over here to work at, I don't know, X Biotech, but I need to know the 18th president of the United States. I need to say the Pledge of Allegiance every day when I wake up in the morning. It's so stupid. It's virtue signaling.
One thing I really hate about the short attention spans in the United States is that so many people forget that, like, all of our economic development happened because immigrants were coming into the country.
Yeah.
Especially after World War I, and of course following World War II as well, we had influxes of immigrants. And the reason that our economy became so powerful following those periods is because we had so many people that were just coming in. And a lot of the times, even though this isn't like it's certainly an exploitative relationship, immigrants end up working the jobs that nobody else wants to. And while we should definitely take strides to improve their labor rights and their civic rights when they come into the country, and so they're not exploited, it is the case that immigrants built the country, right? Like, there's no chance that that's not the case. But I know that he's not going to come at this from a standpoint of, oh, we need to improve the lives of the immigrant. He's just saying we should make the life of the natural-born U.S. citizen worse.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And it's also, that's a weird angle to take it from. And another angle that's really weird to take it from is a lot of just like regular conservatives that you talk to, that you're related to, that you may even be friends with, don't give a shit about making it harder to get here, like, legally. Every conservative that doesn't have their head fucking off, that isn't batshit insane, goes around like, oh yeah, I don't mind the people who come here legally. So they're not going to, I don't understand the argument of, yeah, let's just make it harder for everyone.
Well, but that's the thing, is I think they do mind the people that come here legally.
They do mind, but that's how they get around
They can attack illegal immigration on the basis that it's like breaking a law, right? Or it's bringing criminals or drugs or whatever it is into the country. But realistically, I think a lot of people attack illegal immigration, quote unquote, just as a proxy for making it harder for every immigrant to come into the country.
That's facts.
Into the country,
That's
right?
facts.
Because think about it. If you put like the military on the border, if you make it incredibly hard for people to get the documents necessary to immigrate into the country to become a citizen, if you're front loading the civic tests for immigrants before they can even apply for anything, then obviously it's going to make it harder for legal immigrants to get into the country, or people to become legal immigrants. Like, they don't actually care about reforming the immigration system to make it easier for people that want to be here legally and harder for people that want to break the law, bring in drugs or whatever. They just want to make it harder for everybody because it's always just been a proxy for race. That's it. It's always how it's been.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But also, what's not wrong is this wine I have right here. We have Winking Owl by Aldi Sangria. I wish I knew how to taste or smell wine, but it's tasty. It has notes of good, and it feels good in my tummy. So,
Sommelier Gage.
So that's what we got going on there.
See, I'm a little upset nobody asked about my Kavita kombucha.
He's in a booth, drinking kombucha.
This is the stream choice, the drink of choice for the stream for Jeremy. I'm always drinking a kombucha.
Every fucking time he comes over.
Hey, bro, why are you saying it like it's a problem? Look, I got on kombucha like during the pandemic, and I can't get off it. You know what I'm saying?
He can't get off it.
I actually didn't like it at first, and then now I'm like, give me a booch.
Give me a booch. Let me pull up. You got booch? Do y'all got booch for me?
I know somebody in the chat understands what I'm talking about. I know it.
Isn't kombucha just like crazy probiotic? Just like probiotic, but it tastes worse.
Yeah, it's got like tea leaves and stuff in
See,
there.
I fuck with kefir. A little bit of probiotic. Like it tastes like, because it kind of tastes like a yogurt drink. It's so good. It's like a healthy Danimal, if you will.
Kombucha sus. Not Jeremy having a boocha day. We all have our vices.
He's not meeting the bisexual Rittenhouse allegations. He's not.
Got to brew your own so easy and cheap. I don't know how to do that, though. You know what I'm saying? I got a podcast to run.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's get back to this freaking clip. We got to be able to finish one clip today before the debate.
Bro's booching live. That's crazy,
That's
bro.
important, because if we're a nation founded on ideals, we have to be a country that is able to converse in those ideals as well. So that's, I think, important elements of reviving our national identity and our national civic spirit. That's something we're missing. I look to even allies in other parts of the world. Places like Israel, a good friend of the United States. I would love to learn from Israel in so many respects, not just their border defense.
I would love. He said not just their border defenses, bro. I would love a 2-state solution here in the United States. Yeah. That's crazy. I would love to bring apartheid over here.
I would love to learn how we could just like bomb parts of this country back to the Stone Age every few years. That'd be great.
And their missile defense capabilities, but a strong national.
Wait.
So many respects, not just their border defenses and their missile defense capability.
Bro, we give them that.
We did that.
We did that.
We
That's
taught
our
them.
shit, bro.
They stole our flow. Well, we sold it to them.
No one show him Gaza.
Yeah,
God
for the love
damn.
of God, don't show them Gaza.
But a strong national identity that even our allies enjoy that we're now lacking in this country. And I think that's what gives a lot of agita to people who are concerned about immigration,
what?
understandably, to say that might this erode our national identity. Well, I think we have to have immigration policies that, first of all, protect and advance the interests of those here in the homeland. I think that's the sole purpose
that's
of
just white
immigration
people.
policy.
Like, he's just dog whistling here.
Yeah, it's
like
just white supremacy.
he just tried to dodge it by talking about the more obvious language, but then we need to protect the interests of people here and, keep some things pure.
Yeah. What about immigrants in the homeland, dumbass?
Yeah.
At first, that might sound controversial to some, but it's actually intuitive when you think about it. The purpose of any policy, including our immigration policy, should be to advance the interests of Americans in the homeland.
If that were the case, you'd want immigration to keep going at the rate that it is right now because it provides for economic growth. There's no real evidence to suggest that the rate of immigration the U.S. has right now is hurting the economy in any way. In fact, there's some evidence to suggest that it drives wages up and makes goods more affordable because there's more people working here,
yeah,
and there's more commerce going on. And again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of immigrants end up working the jobs that pay the lowest wages, which isn't great, but that's the case right now. And if Vivek actually cared about the interests of Americans in the homeland, you'd want immigration to continue. Mm-hmm. Immigration even isn't that crazy right now. I know a lot of Republicans always talk about how like Joe Biden has record immigration. There's an invasion at the border. They say that anytime a Democrat's in power. Mm-hmm. They say that when they're in power.
That's true. Yeah,
but
it's somehow still Democrat policies.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
It turns out that I think we can have immigration policies that do accomplish that, bringing in skilled workers who are committed to this country, who speak the national language, who know something about the country. But that's my vision of citizenship. So much so that even the kids who were born here, I favor actually reviving those civic values and ideals as well. And so, yes,
civic values like taking people's right to vote away.
Yeah.
That's what I think when I think civic values.
Yeah, that's so
not
good.
Voting.
So good.
I call myself an American nationalist. I mean that in a positive sense. But the revival of national identity is core. It's a core pillar to how we're going to revive this country.
All I'm saying is nobody could get up there and be like, I call myself a German nationalist, but like not that way. Nobody could get up there and say that and get away with it, bruh.
It's not fair. Oh my God. Anyways, anytime somebody tries to sell you on any kind of identity politics, including national identity, certainly national identity, it's never going to be a replacement for class identity. Keep that in mind. We're good Marxists over here.
This guy gets it. He's always pounding theory. Come on.
Yeah, I'm always just fucking busting out Capital, rereading sections that I didn't fully understand. Yeah, that's me.
All right, you already know what time it is.
Yeah, I think you guys know. I'm trying to get this centered in the screen here.
We got to get back to it.
It's time for Mr. Bingo.
A little bit of pre-debate, pre-show, pre-warm-up, a little bit of bingo, see what's going on. What are our predictions?
Yeah, we're back in Canva. Our favorite place to be, really. Hang on, let me adjust the screen a bit more so you guys can see all this. You know I'm always thinking about your viewing pleasure.
But while we're doing this, you can start launching off. Start firing away with your ideas of what's going on tonight. I think we're going to get woke. I think that's an easy one. We got to put down woke.
Is it the free space again, though? I'm not so sure.
I mean, frankly, I don't know if it's the free space again because it wasn't so free last time. We kind of had to struggle for it.
Yeah, we put it in the middle, but we only got like 1 or 2 mentions of woke, and it really wasn't from DeSantis, if I remember.
So maybe we could throw it in the middle because I do think instances of woke are going to go up. You can quote me on that. You can clip it and ship it right now. I think instances of woke are going up. Let me tell you.
Hang on. I just clicked something.
He's a National Socialist. Weird song in the beginning. I wonder. I don't think they can have another Oliver Anthony moment. Frankly, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe.
I do think they'll bring up Hunter Biden again because I don't know. Apparently, I saw on Twitter right before we hopped on that there's some news about like a wire that got sent to Joe Biden's house from like a Chinese businessman for like $250,000.
Oh, nice.
I feel like that might get brought up there.
That's great. In the Bob Menendez media in the post Menendez media environment.
Exactly. Frankly.
Post Menendezism. All right. I'm looking at the chat now. I wasn't before, but I am now, I promise.
Trump name drop is free spot. I'm sorry for whoever said that. I forgot.
Trump name dropped as free spot. Are we sure that that's the surefire thing?
Oh, Trump is getting name dropped for sure.
From anybody.
From anyone. Talk about Fetterman sweatshirt. I think so.
For sure, yeah, 100%.
I don't know what context they'll bring it up in. Because like, what does Brett Baer get on there and before he's about to ding Mike Pence into the next stratosphere, does he get in there and say some shit like, what do you think about professionalism in Congress? Like, I don't like.
What should you wear to Congress?
If you become elected president, what will you wear up there, perhaps?
Yeah, Casual King, we got the dress code. And that's like the whole Fetterman debacle. People were really mad at Fetterman for, no, they were mad at Chuck Schumer for undoing the rule that you have to wear a suit and tie. Because Fetterman wears like button-up shirts, he wears sweatshirts, he wears shorts, that kind of thing.
Can I make a wish list? Go for it. Shoot it off. I'm saying they fire off all suggestions. No holds barred right here. Bober is a hog cranker. Is crazy.
Is this bingo card descriptive or is it normative? Are we listing things we want to see or that we will see? Right. Chris Christie's sweep should be the free space.
I don't think that the Lauren Boebert shit will get brought up.
No,
because you can't bring it up and spin it in any way that's good for you as a GOP primary candidate. The only person that could spin it in a good way is Chris Christie, and I don't think anyone in any establishment wants that. I'm putting that out there right now.
So someone did say UAW strike. I'm going to take it a step further and say anti-UAW strike.
Hell yeah.
And I think this is a safe bet because we got both Mike Pence and Tim Scott mic'd up saying that they're against the UAW strike.
Oh,
did you see that?
Yes, I did. If I'm taking my brain back, way back to the last GOP debate, we are getting Bible verse drops.
Oh yes,
Either Mike Pence or was it Asa Hutchinson? He's not here. Rest in peace, my king, my beautiful,
Tim
glorious
Scott,
king.
You remember Tim Scott right before he said break the backs of the teachers unions? He was like he just went on for lines and lines of Bible verse just memorized in his brain.
I ain't reading all that. I ain't reading all that.
Yeah, sorry, King, I'm not reading all that.
But yeah, we're getting a Bible verse 100%. I'll put my life on that shit.
Yeah, I'll put the pot on that.
DeSantis brings up 9/11. Maybe someone will bring off that he was a JAG officer.
Abolish Department of Education. That's a great prediction.
Hell yeah,
100%.
Pro baby. Yeah. It's a GOP primary, so I would be surprised if they didn't bring up something pro life.
Oh, they got to bring up pro life.
They do. I think that's a great point, Syndicate. I think they are going to bring up trans people this one because they shied away from that in the last debate. Yeah. I think they were kind of saving their content.
Is it Brett Baer doing it again? Do you know?
I don't know.
I think the Fox News types, especially Fox News business types, know that that's a losing issue. Whereas like the Michael Knowles type demons are like, yeah, this is a kitchen table issue. Did you see that? Did you see him? He said that?
A kitchen table issue is crazy.
The anti-trans rhetoric is a kitchen table issue for conservatives right now, and everybody should be running on it, which I thought was just blew my mind.
That's fucking ridiculous.
They lose on that issue, but maybe they bring it up.
However, I think they lose more on the pro-life issue. Mm-hmm. But I know they bring that up all the time.
But like
also,
that's the conservative bread and butter, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like that's actually their bread and butter.
Jackson Taylor, Mike Pence goes through 3 buzzers. I don't think it'll be 3, but I would want to put on the bingo card that he will go through 2 buzzers again.
Pence, let me spell this right. Ignores 2 buzzers.
They let me down not saying one word about Barbie. They let me down too. I was kind of flabbergasted about that. Woke feminism fucking took over and they just let it. They stood idly by and they were complicit in Greta Gerwig's agenda to fucking forcibly feminize all the men in the audience. It's ridiculous.
By saying nothing, they said everything.
Exactly.
Nikki Haley being a pick-me girl. Do we think
was
she's
she pick-me last time?
I don't think she's so much as pick-me as she is trying to play the moderate in the room.
Yeah, I don't think she's as pick-me as she is like fucking evil.
My dude Jar in the chat said we're gonna get some Vivek citizenship questions. Now, do we mean from the candidates? Because that would be nuts.
That would be nuts. That would be fucking insane. I don't know. Chris Christie has a grudge against him.
That would be a buzzer beater moment right there. That would be a championship on the line, 1 point difference in the game, buzzer beater, half court shot. That's
Polls
what that would
come
be.
out tomorrow. Christie up all the way. Christie now has a plurality.
DeSantis smile. Yeah, we're getting that DeSantis smile. No chance we're not.
Do we think DeSantis is going to talk more? And how do we translate that into a bingo square?
I don't know. That's tough. 'Cause that's very subjective.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? Because
That's
apparently
true.
fucking conservatives last time thought he won, which I thought was nutty.
Ridiculous. Oh, parents' rights mention cast. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Another Vivek Obama comparison. See, the problem there was that Vivek, I didn't know this at the time,
Yeah.
but Vivek actually used an Obama quote. That's why the comparison happened. He brought it upon himself.
Man, that's so crazy that Christie just like caught that.
Well, yeah, first of all,
Like right on stage, all that adrenaline going. Christie's a liberal.
Christie's been watching film. So you may be wondering what this old washed out guy from New Jersey is doing on stage.
Golly. Vivek pulls up in a tan suit. Christie just gets war flashbacks.
That would be good.
DeSantis grows a
Oh,
personality.
DeSantis over/under on words.
I'll give you a quick over-under on talking time. I'm going to say DeSantis is going to be over 4.5 minutes.
That's it? No, he's got more than 4.5
All right,
minutes.
maybe we'll
100%.
get 9.5 minutes for DeSantis.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10.
Then I guess I'll be under 10.
Under 10?
I'll be under 10.
Under 10-minute total talking time. I feel like that's like a solid guess, actually.
You know what I'm saying? He did not do much last time.
Christie being a liberal, that's a square, 100%. Great point.
Christie gets booed. That's another good one. Shutdown mention. Somebody said parents' rights mention. I think that's a good one. I think that's a surefire hit if you're asking me, you know.
See, we got Chris Christie as a liberal.
There are only two genders. I don't know. I feel like the trans discourse would come before there are. How many genders do you think there are?
See, the thing is, like, that is one of Vivek's 10 commandments.
This is true.
There are only two genders.
This is true. One of his blasphemous commandments.
What was you said parents' rights? That's what you said before?
He punches Vivek in the head. That's an open mistake.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, parents' rights.
We get violence on stage. Aggravated assault. Racially motivated?
Whoa.
UAW mentioned, yeah, I got anti-UAW strike on here already. That's definitely going to happen.
DeSantis is not. No, DeSantis unfortunately will be center stage because he's polling the highest, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Out of the rest of them, in some polls, Vivek might have pulled ahead, but they got 7 people. Well, I guess 7 would put one directly in the middle. I think DeSantis will be in the middle.
Thomas Hillhouse coming through with a low-key banger. Philly looting. I think that might be something that gets brought up solely because I've seen more instances of Ian Miles Chong on Twitter just tweet videos of black people doing things. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets brought up. What are the odds someone mentions India assassinating a Canadian citizen? You know, I saw a headline about that, but I don't know much about that. But what I saw, I was blown away.
Yeah, I did see that happened. Also, Canada is a rough week for Canada, guys. Canada. I wonder if any of our Canadian listeners are in the chat right now. Canada also had somebody. They were doing some ceremony, and you know how during ceremonies, when like a parliament or Congress does it, they like to have like guest speakers or guests show up that they can applaud for. I'll see if you can catch this.
Okay.
They had a guy there that fought against Russia during World War II that they applauded.
Nah, that's crazy. Nah, that's sus.
He was a Nazi. That's who they had there, but they just didn't vet him apparently.
What the
idea
fuck?
was like, oh, he fought against Russia way back when, just like Ukraine's fighting against Russia now, and he was just a Nazi.
Man,
he was just a Nazi.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Holy shit.
That's like the wildest fumble of all time.
DeSantis reminisces on his Gitmo days. I don't think it'll be that explicit. However, I would enjoy a mention of DeSantis being a veteran.
Yeah.
Maybe they bring up
he brought it up 3 times last time.
Is Tuberville the one that's holding up the like promotions right now? Is he still doing that?
Yes.
Maybe they'll bring that up. That'd be cool. Impeachment inquiry. Impeachment talk would be cool.
I think that's good. Yeah, I'm going to put that in there too. That's a good point.
He was a fucking FSS soldier.
Yes.
That's fucking
crazy.
crazy.
The Waffen, whatever. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh my God. China bad could come up. They apologize for not looking more into it, man. While Zelensky was there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Zelensky was there about to give a speech. You had someone from the SS in the Canadian Parliament getting clapped up while a Jewish president of Ukraine. The Jewish president of Ukraine is about to give a speech. Like, that's crazy.
Ruben Bowen, that's
Canadians stay taking L's. The only thing you guys got up on us is better public transportation and healthcare.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and
Nothing
I hear
else.
that it's kind of like the shittiest socialized healthcare out of all the places that have it. So
Exactly.
Fuck you. I'll continue to
government shutdown.
I'll
How could we
continue to
forget?
pay $200 a month for my insurance straight out of my fucking paycheck, bro.
Doug, I got a bonus the other day from work, and the federal government took $200. I was pissed.
I don't fuck with taxes
I was
anymore.
just like, damn, the federal government just got a bonus.
That's how
I was pissed.
That's how I felt when I got my first paycheck and I saw how much was deducted from taxes, which I fully expected that taxes would be taken away. I've been prepped for that my whole life. Oh, you'll grow out of these views when you start paying taxes. I do and I didn't. But anyway, it was benefits that fucked me over, dog. It was paying $200 a month for health care.
Maybe you should go on strike.
I'm saying.
Ukraine bad? In what way, though? Like, do we think we'll get, we need to stop funding Ukraine, or we need to send more funding to Ukraine because the war is bad? We could get more Nikki Haley being a liberal, because she was just a liberal in her response.
Nikki Haley is a liberal. That's a good one. That's a good one. How they will fix Biden's America. Is this a Bidenomics mention?
Bidenomics, but it's actually communism, bro. I wish.
Oh, shit,
I fucking
bro.
wish.
Shit, immigration is coming up again.
Yeah, Chelsea Cascade said we did a great job, Jeremy, from the government. Yeah, no, that's what it felt. I was pissed because I was like, okay, this is kind of a fat check.
Yeah,
and then $200 deducted to the federal government.
God damn, bro.
And if I had more confidence that it's going towards good things and not just like, you know,
not just Ukraine,
killing somebody
not
in
just
Pakistan,
Ukraine, brother.
I would be a little bit more confident. Russia good? I feel like we could probably see that, but they'll never be that explicit. You know what I mean?
Wait, was it Vivek that borderline said Russia good?
Well, that's the thing is like a lot of I've seen this from a lot of tankies, but certainly a lot of Republicans and conservatives. They like to argue against sending funding to Ukraine, which is just one step removed from saying Russia should win, because the logical conclusion of not helping Ukraine at all and calling for like a full ceasing of U.S. aid to Ukraine functionally means that Russia wins.
Facts.
Because without our aid, Ukraine would have lost. At least that's my view on it. So it's basically a Russia good statement, but I don't know that it'd be explicit enough for a bingo card.
And I agree with that, but things I also agree with is Casual King bringing up Ronald Reagan as the gold standard or something like that. A Ronald Reagan mention is happening.
Because you know where they're going to be? You know where they're going to be? The Ronald Reagan Memorial, I think?
That's how they open it.
Yeah.
That's how they open it 100%. There's an opener about praising Ronald Reagan. I can see it now. My third eye, it's fucking opening, bro. I can see it.
You know, Ronald Reagan is a demon in was a demon in human skin. He's fucking dead now.
I'm stressed about finishing this bingo card before the debate. That you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Maybe we should start throwing shit on here.
Oh, no,
like
we got 12 minutes. We're literally fine.
Student loans mentioned. That's a good one. We covered that in between debates, yeah?
Student loans?
Yeah. Haven't we? Didn't we talk about
SAVE
student loans
plan?
like 3
The
weeks
SAVE
ago?
plan. That's like politically toxic for them, though, right? Like they can't.
You think so? But so is pro-life.
So is
like
everything.
the bread and butter. You know?
Anyway, Ronald Reagan was an actual demon, but curiously enough, he had some pro-choice policies in his repertoire from being the governor of California.
For real?
Funny thing about Ronald Reagan, he was the president of the Actors Union, I think.
Oh.
Back when he was an actor. And then as soon as he became president, he was violently anti-union.
Classic.
Which I think is fucking sick.
God, unrest is
He's
canceled.
like, Ronald Reagan's like literally the kind of union president that people think about when they're like, oh, unions are corrupt. All they want to do is siphon money off of the workers. It's like he's the guy, you know what I mean? But he's also the one making the argument.
This motherfucker, bro.
He's like, oh, unions take away from the workers because I did.
Kretz, Tim Scott brings up his girlfriend. I agree, because in like the one clip I've seen from him since the debate, he was asked about it, and he's like, yes, I'm dating a wonderful Christian woman, and yes, of course she's a Christian, and I still haven't. So that might be good. Tim Scott girlfriend
We've got a lot of abortion stuff. I'm going to say third trimester.
Ronnie about his Trey baby story
Abortion.
again. We need a live fact checker.
Yeah.
Oat milk isn't milk. That's niche, but I like it.
Somebody watched the episode. Inflation. You will definitely get some. We need to like lump together inflation, Bidenomics, etc. somehow.
I think we would just say Bidenomics for that one. Okay. Because Bidenomics, it's an umbrella term, really.
I'll say Bidenomics / inflation.
Gruesome Newsom's California homelessness.
Okay.
California crime or California homelessness.
Okay.
Those are. Do we have government shutdown? Yeah, we
Yep,
must.
yep,
We must.
We do.
How much you bet they talk about corruption and Christie gets lived up and says something about Paxton? That'd be good. That'd be good.
Doug Burgum has more than 10 sentences. Maybe.
Bro yapped last time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
DeSantis makes up a whole story. Y'all want me to fact check? If you want to do the work, Donovan, of fact checking, you definitely can, but that might be a lot for you to do while listening to the debate.
Yeah.
And playing Starfield, right? You play Starfield at the same time?
Can boredom be on it? Homelessness in general, big city crimes, yes.
Donovan would be putting the work in if he's every sentence he's got to fact check something.
How many more slots we got? We got 7 more slots. We got to fill this bad boy up. Mm-hmm. We got to have enough time to be able to post it to Twitter.
These are strong, though. These are very strong.
Keeping in God we trust on our money.
Yes, Doug Burgum made the cutoff.
Somehow.
If you noticed in our thumbnail, he got a little small picture in there next to Tim Scott because I think he doesn't deserve to be on there. If Asa doesn't get to be on there, he shouldn't be on there.
Facts.
That's
they should take 2 at a time until it's just Vivek and Ron.
Yeah. Just like you guys last time, it's discrimination for him having a Southern accent. Remember everyone making fun of him, us included?
It's facts.
I'm anti-Southern.
DeSantis interrupts someone and actually talks. It could happen.
Climate change question? I think we could put that in there too.
Supreme Court? I don't think anything's happened enough with the Supreme Court recently for that to happen. They're never going to bring up Clarence Thomas corruption. That's more like a general election thing.
Yeah.
They say killing babies after birth. Do we have California homelessness?
I was going to put California equals communism, actually.
Vivek edging mentioned. Asa Hutchinson name drop. Making an attack on anyone else on trans kids. Do we have trans kids?
No, but I will put it in here.
We need to represent the youth.
Yeah.
They don't care about PEPFAR. Nikki Haley pulls the woman card. Fair.
Did she do that last time?
I don't know. Actually, I think she did, because didn't she say, I'm the wife of a veteran? Or some shit like that? I wouldn't be surprised if there's like I am a mother. As a mother.
That's kind of stolen valor, don't you think?
Absolutely.
She's kind of stealing that valor.
Absolutely, dog.
Saying like, my husband served, and that was so hard on me.
You know, really, 2 of us are serving because he's gone and he's away from me.
And, given Ron DeSantis kind of deceiving voters with his like service record, she might as well be doing the same thing. I don't know who's really serving.
Facts.
He could just be making food. He could be signing off on torture. How do I know?
I'm saying she could be signing off on torture.
I need his credentials.
100%.
Bring his dog tags.
Yeah. We got what else we got? We could get like a
4 more. We got 4 more.
If trans kids in schools come up, I wouldn't be surprised. As a mother, as a mother, I just could not stand for this. This is a kitchen table issue.
According to Michael Knowles, yeah.
Nikki Haley wears a single tone suit jacket and mid-calf skirt combo.
That's like a hyper specific. If that's what she wears, I'm gonna be pissed at you, James. I'm gonna lose my mind.
We might have to put it in. I think we might have to put it in just based on that.
DeSantis wears high heels again. He wore high heels last time.
There's no way.
That's kind of going against the grain there.
Oh, do you think he's going to wear cowboy boots?
He wore cowboy boots last time?
No, but he has. He's shown up to interviews in
boots.
cowboy boots, not the white boots.
The pristine.
Jeans tucked in and everything.
Oh,
Thank
Memphis,
you so
thank
much.
you so much.
LGBTQ people in general. Do we have trans kids yet?
I do, but we can also just put like the alphabet mafia type shit.
Yeah, hell yeah, taking over.
I wrote the book on woke.
Hawaiian wildfires. I don't think they talk about that again. Didn't they talk about that last time?
Yeah, they did.
I don't think that's a topic you can really hit on twice. For people like that.
Vivek says pudding fingers and meatball Ron curls into a feet. I wish someone would say pudding fingers. That's the ultimate just fucking the wall. He cannot go beyond. You know what I mean?
Alexia is spreading misinformation.
Did we put... Okay, I'll put Vivek's citizenship question on here.
2 moms and 2 dads. Oh my God, what if they mention
Yeah, everyone needs 2 moms and 2 dads.
NYC daycare with fentanyl. I mean, we are approaching Halloween. Fent?
From the thing I posted last year. I'll just put fentanyl on.
No,
here.
where's the fent though? Ding dong fent.
I don't know how the hell do you spell fentanyl? Fent.
YL.
Oh god damn it. Fent and no.
I don't think that's it. But
I just took it from chat.
Fent, more fent.
Rebecca, thank you so much for the 2.
Border crisis.
That is the one that
we don't have border crisis on here. All right.
I think it was oversight on my part.
8:55. Should we call it quits? Are there any revisions we want to make?
I think this is pretty solid.
Shoplifting epidemic. That's in California communism.
Mm-hmm.
Drug crisis and some sort of link to immigration. Honestly, I don't think I've heard conservatives talk about drugs in a while. Maybe Fent discourse will ramp up again now that it's Halloween and people will be giving that shit out like candy, as if it's candy, because that's real. But I haven't heard much about it. Nobody gives a shit about the opioid crisis anymore.
Yeah.
The opioid crisis low-key fell off.
The only time Republicans care about it is when they can say, like, oh, this is poisoning white people specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Tim
look
Scott
at this.
virginity. Do we need Tim Scott virginity?
I don't know if you think it's going to come up.
No, that's more of a pipe dream.
That's more what we want to happen.
That's like my personal fanfic is he gets asked about his virginity.
Post it in the Discord. We'll post it in the Discord and on Twitter, yeah?
I'm going to airdrop it to you real quick so you could do that.
Let me get it.
If I know how to work my freaking
never
MacBook.
free, guys.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up. Never back down, never what?
All right, let me know
never
if you
give
get
free
this.
Fent.
You got that shit?
Yes, I did. Yes, sir.
Sick.
All right, let me post it in the Discord first for the real ones.
Put it in the Discord, and then we can put it on Twitter as well.
Yes.
But I think I'm going to bring up the Fox News broadcast real quick. They haven't started yet. In fact, they say 13 minutes until it starts.
13 minutes?
I guess it's starting at 9:10.
What the fuck is this California bullshit, bro? Liberals can never be on time, I swear.
Ronald Reagan Library. God damn it.
All right, it is currently in the Discord right now. Head on over, flood it, and check out that bingo card. And make sure to post yours at the end. You know we'll run through it. You know we'll be here for a while.
That's right.
We're hanging out tonight.
We are chilling. Being
All right,
chilling.
Let me get this bingo on Twitter. What's not catching this, bro?
Oh, no. Now it says 3 minutes. Okay. I was just behind. I'm just a liberal. All right, friends. I'm about to turn on the Fox News.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. The poll's very interesting. But there are going to be primaries and caucuses, Kellyanne Conway. Or do I have that completely wrong?
Hold up.
Larry to become president of the United States, the main subject matter.
You said what?
Head in the office or Head in the office pod on YouTube? It's pod, right?
Oh, just I put the link into the Discord. Just go take it from there. I think it's going to be like a jumble of letters and stuff.
So true.
Hang on, guys. I'm resizing the window so you all can see it with your beautiful little eyes.
Bingo.
Make sure to share it with your friends. If you want merch, the live stream, if you want merch from us, and make sure to share the live stream with your friends, then it's all in the description. And we would very much appreciate it if you did that. Okay, this should be good to go now. You all can see this. These demons in human skin. Let's go.
People walk out thinking, tick, tick, tick. Me too. I'm worried about the same
Me
thing.
too?
I mean, I know we keep coming back to the economy, and I know this is a Fox Business night of some kind. But really, there you have it.
Is the screen better for you all?
Why?
It wasn't cropped correctly.
Why does it have to be Fox Business? Why is it a Fox Business night? Why can't this be like Fox Prime Time? Why can't Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity moderate this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That'd be way better. That'd be way funnier.
Why
And
not
then
bring Tucker back?
Then we'd get to the root of these issues.
Bring Tucker back for a little throwback.
Maybe Tucker will do his own independent GOP debate, and it'll get 5 billion trillion views on Twitter.
The one thing we didn't mention is Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis are set to debate on November 30th. We posted about this on Twitter, but that's very exciting news for us.
And we'll be right here, and you'll also be right here with us.
That's right. I'm very
Hell
excited.
yeah.
I'm very excited. Looks like the debate's going to begin just in a minute or so here. So let's take a listen.
They all look like AI-generated X-Men villains, bro. You're not wrong.
Look, voters like to
They
have
look
a
like
contest,
Reverend
and
Stryker.
they like underdogs. And if they see something attractive over the course of these 2 or 3 or 4 debates, that could be a problem being absent on the stage. Everybody on the stage in the first debate saw their favorables go up. Everyone
What the
saw
fuck
that
is
the
this new
percentage of
geezer's
the people
looking
who
ass?
said, I'm open to voting for him rise. Only one candidate.
Looks like bro did Iraq.
Saw both of his
I'm
numbers
saying.
drop in that regard.
Dick
And that was the guy
Cheney
who was absent from the first debate.
I hate to go this is the national anthem. I think I hate to even talk during that, but unfortunately,
I hate to talk during that. One time, I was at a swim meet, like a club swim meet, and the national anthem was playing, and I was in the warm-up pool, and I had no idea, and I backstroked through the whole thing. It was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, bro. Everyone's just fucking staring at me, hand on their heart on the side. I'm backstroking. And that's where it all started, really.
I kind of support that, though. You were just getting the fucking reps in.
That's what I'm saying.
Just with a different style. Is the wall,
All right.
Ukraine, crime,
wall, Ukraine,
economy,
crime,
give us
Ukraine?
something different.
Got it, Joe. Kellyanne, thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Kellyanne Conway?
I need some of you strong soldiers in the chat to keep track of our bingo card for us, because we are not going to remember to do it.
Locked in.
Laser focus. So if some of you can get the bingo card pulled up, and then after we finish the debate, post it in our Discord, we'll go over it and see which ones that we got right. See if we got a bingo.
Nation's history. Ronald Reagan. The Gipper.
I told
That's
you.
one.
America's 40th Commander-in-Chief. He railed against big government.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language
God
are,
damn it, bruh.
I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
If there was one piece of propaganda that ruined generations upon generations of people, it is that line right there. Thinking that the government can't do anything for you. As if all economic development that happened post-World War II wasn't because of state intervention.
The Republican Party faces critical
Thank you so much, Steven.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry.
To be a conservative.
We fight for the truth.
Hey, yo.
We are not going to worry about what the left and the media say about us.
What is the key to a thriving economy?
$5.
Gas prices.
Not regulation.
America could do for anyone.
Why is Bergam in the highlight reel?
Yo, why they putting him up there?
Cut a boy.
We will stop the borrowing. We will
Cut a
stop
boy.
the earmarks.
You know they did that shit last night.
Role in the world.
Added Bergam in there.
A military fitted to the widening challenges in an ever more dangerous world.
Sometimes you avoid war by showing you're tough.
And the country faces even more challenges. Would Reagan even recognize the country in which we now live? Tonight, candidates seeking the Republican nomination converge in California to chart a new path to the grand old party. Now is the time for choosing.
Okay. CRT mentioned. Maybe.
I'm hyped.
Hell yeah. Didn't Bergam drop out? No, he almost didn't make it. But then in the 11th hour, he pulled through.
He did some bribes.
Live from the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
They did show the mugshot. That's crazy.
Inside the spectacular Air Force One pavilion, where the stage is set for a showdown.
What the No, I can't lie. That shit's gaudy as hell. That's ridiculous.
That's the worst stage I've ever seen.
Thrilled to be sitting alongside my co-moderators, Fox News Channel Dana Perino and Ilya Calderon.
Good evening. Thank you, Stuart. President Reagan famously described America as a shining city on a hill. And tonight, 7 candidates will make the case they should be the one to lead that city into a brighter tomorrow.
That's great.
This is already so
To
good.
convince you, the voter. Please
That's so
allow me to
fucking
welcome
good.
our Spanish-speaking audience. Muy buenas noches a todos. Desde la Biblioteca Presidencial Ronald Reagan, los precandidatos republicanos también buscan su voto para las primarias del partido. Bienvenidos.
And good evening. So let's meet the candidates who have qualified and chosen to be on this stage tonight. They are positioned by the order they rank in the polls, with the highest polling candidate in the middle. Standing center stage, Florida Governor Ron Desantis.
Is that the smile?
That's the, kind of.
Okay. There'll be a better one.
Yes. King.
Vivek does not want her to have citizenship. I can tell you that right now.
It's South Carolina, Senator Tim Scott.
Bro, gruesome.
Why does he look like he's in front of a green screen? They all look like they're in front of a green screen. They look keyed in.
President Mike Pence.
Oh, he looks old.
This is uncanny.
They didn't put makeup on him.
It looks all AI generated. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Today our nation is drowning in division and incivility.
Voters say they dread the 2024 election and find politics exhausting. 2 in 3 Americans think the country is on the wrong track.
That's how it is all the
And 3
time,
in
by the
4
way.
say the economy is not in good shape.
Prices are up 18% since 2020.
Bidenomics?
More than half of the U.S. population has little access to childcare. 85%
I wonder why.
of Americans say their personal finances are a source of stress.
Americans want to believe a leader who says, "You can follow me. I've got you. Don't worry." President Biden is trying to do that with Bidenomics.
That plane
And
is such a
yesterday,
cute
he
venue.
joined the picket lines where auto workers are demanding more wages
here we go.
and job security.
Hell yeah.
Senator Scott, you recently reacted by praising Ronald Reagan for firing air traffic controllers in the 1980s, saying, "You strike, you're fired. Would you fire thousands of striking auto workers today, Senator?
Obviously, the President of the United States cannot fire anybody in the private sector. However, we should look back at the first bill in Congress under Joe Biden. The first bill had $86 billion for the union pensions because they continue to overpromise yet underdeliver. One of the challenges that we have in the current negotiations is that they want 4-day French work weeks, but more money. They want more benefits, working fewer hours. That is simply not going to stand.
Why?
I sat in a finance committee hearing when a widow came before the committee who was promised pensions from the unions, $4,000 a month. Unfortunately, it had been cut to $1,000 a month. We must make sure that we honor the commitments that we make, and one of the ways that we do that, do not overpromise and then underdeliver and leave the taxpayers on the hook. I'll say this, Joe Biden should not be on the picket line. He should be on the southern border working to close our southern border because it is unsafe, wide open.
What Zero Pussy does to a motherfucker.
Leading to the deaths of 70,000 Americans in the last 12 months because of fentanyl. It is devastating.
We're winning.
Every county in America is now a border county because fentanyl has devastated Americans in every single state. I will also say 6 million illegal crossings since Joe Biden has taken office.
Someone
and he
fact check that.
eliminated Title 42. The one thing he should do is finish the wall.
Are we going to get to?
Reinstate Title 42 and get the job done.
Please. Man, we're off to a better start than I could have imagined.
Yapper in chief.
A lot of
Holy
questions
shit.
on the border and immigration, but in the meantime, we do want to talk about the economy and jobs, and especially want to talk about this strike for just a moment more. Mr. Ramaswamy, you said you really empathize with the strikers. You're standing next to Senator Scott. And do you agree with what he said, or do you think he's wrong?
I agree with some of what he said, for sure. I like the spirit of it. I'll say that I don't have a lot of patience for the union bosses. I think that's where he and I actually have a common view. I do have a lot of sympathy for the workers, however. People are going through real hardship in this country.
They agree with the union. They want those benefits.
My father stared
You
down
think they don't want a raise?
GE
Only the union boss wants the raise, not the workers, though.
The humble workers want want more money taken out of their paychecks every week.
In Southwest Ohio to make ends meet and pay off our home loan. So I understand that hardship is not a choice.
I posted the
Victimhood
bingo
is
on our
a
Twitter
choice,
swag.
and we choose to be victorious in the United States of America. You know what? If I was giving advice to those workers, I would say go picket in front of the White House in Washington, D.C.
That's not how strike
needs to be. Disastrous economic policies that have driven up prices, that have driven up interest rates and mortgage rates. At the same time, wages remaining stagnant. What we need is to deliver economic growth in this country. Unlock American energy. Drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. Put people back to work by no longer paying them more money to stay at home. Stabilize the US dollar itself and rescind a majority of those unconstitutional federal regulations that are hampering our economy. That is how we unleash American exceptionalism. And that's not a Democratic vision or a Republican vision. That is an American vision that we embrace economic growth, and capitalism is still the best system known to man to lift us up from poverty, and we should not apologize for it. That's what it means to be
Drill,
American.
frack, and burn. He knows his lines. Literally, this is just a repeat of his opening statement last time.
What a waste.
Together,
unoriginal.
The CEOs of General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis make 336 times the number of rank and file workers.
Bro hates it.
That's just part of a wider income inequality trend in the country. The richest 1% now controls 1/5 of all income. Vice President Pence, last week you said you side with American workers, but you also support how these companies operate. Which is it?
Well, thank you for the
he looks
question.
awful.
I want to thank Univision and Fox Business
Sickly,
for
dare I
assembling
say.
such a wonderful forum.
You got that Ozempic skinny.
Look, I do disagree with something Tim Scott just said. Joe Biden doesn't belong on a picket line. He belongs on the unemployment line.
What the fuck does that mean?
I'm from the second leading manufacturing state in the country per capita. I was governor of the state of Indiana. We brought 12,000 factories back to America during our administration. I know something about manufacturing. And I got to tell you, while while the union bosses are talking about class warfare and talking about disparity in wages, I have to tell you, I really believe what's driving that.
Yeah, disparity
failed. Wages are not keeping up with inflation.
Bidenomics drove wealth inequality up.
Hold up. Families are struggling in this economy. And Joe Biden's Green New Deal agenda is good for Beijing and bad for Detroit. We ought to repeal the Green New Deal, get rid of the mandates and subsidies that are driving American gasoline automotive manufacturing into the graveyard. And beyond that also, as President of the United States, I'll be standing with workers all across America, and I'll be standing for the right to work of every American to join a union or not join a union as they decide.
That's so fucking sick.
You mentioned, and you had to respond.
There's no doubt that Joe Biden needs to be fired. That's why I'm running for president. I look forward to being the next president of the United States. I will also say
we need to repeal legislation that never went through.
What she's done for me. It's why we're focusing on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting the America we all love. Growing up in a single-parent household, I wondered if the American dream would work for a kid in the inner city. I've got good news for every single child, whether you're in the inner cities of Chicago or the rural parts of Iowa. America and the dream, it is alive, it is well, and it is healthy. God bless these United States of America.
She was so exactly what happened. Biden showed up on that picket line. But why are those workers actually there?
Okay.
It's because of all of the spending that he has pushed through in the economy that's raised the inflation. So when you look at the fact that we are paying higher gas prices, higher grocery prices, $7,000 more a year for families.
They cannot bring themselves to say like, okay, yeah, maybe the CEOs make a little bit too much money. They come through and say, yeah, American families are struggling. These workers are underpaid. Mike Pence said that their wages can't keep up with inflation. But to counter that, he said, but that's Biden's fault. That's not the people who determine how much they make's fault. That's Biden's fault.
Also, as if their wages haven't been going down relative to inflation for decades now at this point, or ever since the last strike at the very least. It's so stupid.
They made the corporate taxes permanent. Let's focus on what it takes to get more cash in the pockets of workers.
It's the corporate taxes fault. It's the corporate taxes that are taking all the Fords billions of dollars in profit every quarter away.
Economy. Allow me to.
I just have to. I'm sorry.
Allow me to.
He's back.
I'm sorry. I have to jump in because we're missing the point, and every other network is missing the point. The reason why people are striking in Detroit is because Joe Biden's interference with markets. The subsidies, we're subsidizing the automakers and we're subsidizing the cars.
Yeah, that's why they're striking.
A particular kind of car, not every car. We're subsidizing electric vehicles.
Oh, the Trump line.
When you
and I'm a dumbass.
Take all of your taxpayer monies, take $1 billion, subsidize a certain type of vehicle, and the batteries come from China. China controls 85% of the rare earth minerals. They're called rare earth because they're measured.
Why are they letting him interrupt and speak?
China is moving 100,000 pounds of earth in Indonesia, in Africa. They're literally destroying the planet so that they can make a battery that's in a car subsidized here. That's why they're striking, because they need 2/3 less workers to build an electric car. Joe Biden, this strike is at Joe Biden's feet.
It's literally
they won
not,
that
though.
concession from Ford.
Yeah.
They won that concession. That was a part of the reason why they were striking. But they won that concession, and they had to strike to get that. The other huge part is the low compensation.
This week, Vice President Pence warns that politics of, quote, Trump's populist protégés, like Mr. Ramaswamy, are a road to ruin for the GOP. If the government shuts down, should voters blame populist Republicans?
Christie looks intense.
Voters should blame everybody who's in Washington, D.C. They get sent down there to do the job, and they've been failing at doing the job for a very long time. And let's be honest about this with the voters. You know, during the Trump administration, they added $7 trillion. $7 trillion in national debt. And now the Biden administration has put another $5 trillion on and counting. They have failed, and they're in the spot they're in now because none of them are willing to tell the truth. None of them are willing to take on the difficult issues. They just want to keep kicking the can down the road.
I'm gonna need a fact check on that.
And the inflation that Nikki spoke about is absolutely right, and it's caused by government spending. And that's why people all across this country are suffering tonight
because of government spending.
And yet we don't get any answers because Joe Biden hides in his basement and won't answer as to why he's raising the debt the way he's
We bringing up the 2020 talking points here.
That's the thing, is that real wages in the United States have been going down because of inflation for decades now. They haven't kept track with productivity since, what, the 70s?
Yeah.
This talking point doesn't, there's no way it could apply to the last 3 years of the Biden presidency, 2 years of the Biden presidency.
Pence raising his hand for?
And if the government closes, it's the blame, it is to the blame of everyone
government shutdown
in
talk.
Washington, D.C., who has failed to do their job and just plays to the grandstand.
The next question is for Governor DeSantis.
Somebody put a timer on this dude's audio.
Can we please respect the time? Governor DeSantis, you haven't spoken, please.
The people in Washington are shutting down the American dream with their reckless behavior. They borrowed, they printed, they spent, and now you're paying more for everything. They are the reason for that. They have shut down our national sovereignty by allowing our border to be wide open. So please spare me the crocodile tears for these people. They need to change what's going on. And where's Joe Biden?
Crocodile
He's
tears
completely
for who?
missing in action from leadership. And you know who else is missing in action?
Oh?
Donald Trump
Let's
is
go.
missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation
finally
that we have
picking
now.
a
I can tell you
lane.
this, as governor of Florida, we cut taxes, we ran surpluses, we've paid down over 25% of our state debt, and I vetoed wasteful spending when it came to my desk. And as your president, when they send me a bloating spending bill that's going to cause your prices to go up, I'm going to take out this veto pen and I'm going to send it right
Bro
back.
brought a pen. He brought props.
It's
like when Herschel Walker pulled out.
A question that is on the minds of a
No,
lot
that's
of moms
crazy.
and dads and Americans, and I know that
You know
you've been
Casey
thinking
was in
about
the
it
back
because
hyping up. Trump's not here. He can't hurt you.
Yeah.
You can say it. He's not
$10,000
here.
per month. Some families are spending up to half of their income on childcare, and they're having to decide: is it worth it for me to work, or does it not make sense for me financially? In 3 days, the billions of dollars in pandemic-era funding is going to end, and 70,000 daycares could close. So you had an effort to broaden eligibility for child care assistance. That fell apart last year. And for the moms and dads out there who are worried, what can you tell them if you weren't able to get it through the Congress? How could you do it as president?
Certainly one of the things I did as a member of Congress was to make sure that we protected the Head Start programs around the country, giving people the opportunity to pick and choose the place that they send their children. The challenges that we see today under the Biden administration is that the cost for daycare has gone over $15,000 per child. In the Build Back Broker plan, he called it the Build Back Better plan,
It's a bar.
it was going up to $29,000. The way we fix that problem is to make sure that we actually cut taxes and give more Americans their money back. When I helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we actually lowered a single mother's taxes by 70%
It went right back
on the
up.
federal level.
In writing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, he temporarily lowered their taxes and then explicitly raised them. What was it? Last year they would have gone back up?
Yeah.
They were set to sunset either this year or last year, no matter what. But the 3 martini lunch wasn't. But the corporate tax breaks weren't set to sunset. Only the taxes on the single moms. Trump and Tim Scott quite literally raised taxes on single parents.
From the ashes.
Okay, I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Go ahead, and then we're going to the border.
Ilya mischaracterized a part of my view. I think this artificial division is unhelpful in our party. The real divide is not between the Republicans on this stage. And in the Reagan Library, I want to say these are good people on this stage.
Okay.
The real divide is between the majority of us in this country who love the United States of America and share our founding ideals. Free speech, meritocracy.
This hair
the
is
idea
tall.
you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character.
yeah.
And the fringe minority in the Democrat
Has it
Party
always
that
been
has a
this tall?
chokehold over that party. That's the real divide. So this populist
Immigration and
is
the border.
artificial.
Ilya?
We need to unite this party.
Forehead Ramaswamy. Oh my God.
We are going to talk about
I want to answer
immigration
the
and the
question
border.
on childcare. We have
I think we're going to go on. You have to.
Doug, shut the fuck up,
On
bro.
these questions, we're going to get to you. We're going to come back to you.
You barely made it here, dog. Just sit back, enjoy your time.
We knew that the cliff was coming. We knew that there was going to be millions of people without it, and so guess what? We planned.
Okay.
And when we passed legislation because
nobody likes him.
We will get you some questions, but you're going to have to let us move on. We are going to the border next.
Childcare is right
Stop
it. Given a chance to
In 1984, President Ronald Reagan said the following.
The idea of amnesty for those who have put down roots and who have lived here, even though sometime back they may have entered illegally.
2 years later, President Reagan granted amnesty to nearly 3 million immigrants, something no Democrat or Republican president has done since. Governor Christie, as governor of a non-border state in 2010, you supported a path to citizenship. But when you ran for president in 2016, you flipped, saying immigrants should be tracked like FedEx packages. Where do you stand now on a path to citizenship for 11 million
1984 for real.
Well, the problem is that since no one has done anything since we first had this discussion
not gonna walk that one
13 years ago, we're not in a position to be able to do any of that anymore. What we have to do now is first treat this like the law enforcement problem it is.
Unfortunately, we can't track them like FedEx.
Every day.
We don't have the infrastructure to do it anymore.
Is doing nothing about
That's because of Biden.
That law. They are letting it go. And by the way, they announced during the presidential race they were going to let it go. And we need to have a president who acts like I did as governor. Enforce the law. First and foremost. And that means what I'll do on day one is sign an executive order to send the National Guard to partner with Customs and Border Patrol to make sure that we stop the flow of fentanyl over the border, but also to make sure that we send a much different message. We want you here in this country to fill the 6 million vacant jobs we have, but only if you come here to follow the law and only if you come here legally. If you come here illegally, we will apprehend you and we will send you.
They really are giving him the hard questions. It's kind of like what they did last time too. Maybe they'll throw the alien question at him again.
Order agenda in this country, not only now but in the future, we won't be able to continue this. And I'll tell you this: Donald Trump failed on this as well. He said he was going to build a wall across the whole border. He built 52 miles of wall and said Mexico would pay for it. Guess what? I think if Mexico knew that he was only going to build 52 miles, they might have paid for the 52 miles.
Thank you.
Double ding.
God is dumbass in the double ding.
Does that count? Did he talk through it?
I think we said Pence.
You've seen the Fox News drone. It's captured this steady stream of people coming into the country on a daily basis. In fact, I believe we have a live picture of tonight. That is
they look so
right
fucking dangerous. That's Fent in that pink backpack.
Defund sanctuary cities. You see what's happening in Philadelphia right now. It's got to stop.
In Philadelphia, not a border state.
We put 25,000 more border patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them
Philadelphia
do their
looting?
job. I spent
Is that what she's
400
talking
miles
about?
down that border, and I'm telling you, border patrol agents aren't allowed to do their job. Let's go back to remain in Mexico policy. Instead of catch and release, let's go to catch and deport.
What about what about the aid that federal taxpayers are paying to deal with the root causes? It's not working.
The
or is
only
it?
aid
What
that
are we
should
doing?
be spending
What have
right
we done to
now
deal with the
is to
root
secure
causes
the
of
border,
immigration?
The southern border, the northern border, period.
You would cut
we
off
need
aid
to
to the
keep
region?
Americans safe, and right now Americans are not safe. Only when we fix the immigration system, only when we get the border secure, should we ever look at putting any more money into this. Our money should be about keeping Americans safe. We're not doing that. Joe
when's he
Biden's
gonna
not doing
interrupt?
that. And you mentioned Congress and shutting down government. I'll make it clear. We have to change the budget process.
Ding, ding.
In 4 years. In 40 years, Congress has only delivered a budget on time four times in 40 years. If they don't keep the government open, they should not get paid. No pay, no budget. That's the way we should have
Governor DeSantis,
Where was the ding?
They held it off. For you. Governor DeSantis, China invested $12 billion in Latin America just last year. They signed strategic partnerships with 7 countries, including Mexico. And China's military ties to the region now include arms sales and training exercises. Are you comfortable with China deepening ties with our southern neighbors?
Of course not.
And the reason why we're in this mess is because elites in D.C. for far too long have chosen surrender over strength when it comes to the CCP. Some people in our country got rich, our industrial base got hollowed out, and they have been able to build the second most powerful
Did he just
military
blame that on China?
in the entire world. We need a totally
It's
new
anything
approach
but
to
blame
China.
rich people.
We are
Yeah.
going to have real hard power in the Indo-Pacific.
It's also crazy
like Reagan,
how
to
he hits
deter
that second
their
largest military in the
ambitions.
world
We're gonna
when we have a
economic
bigger military than them
independence
and like
from
5 other
China.
people
We're
combined.
decoupling our economy. We are
My
going to go
bad.
after the cultural power.
I only thought it was 5 other countries.
I banned the CCP from buying land in our state. We should do that all across these United States. We shouldn't have them in our universities. We shouldn't have Confucius institutes. So you see,
said we shouldn't have Chinese people in our universities?
China's going to surpass us this
Holy
decade,
moly,
and if
man.
they do that, that's going to affect every single American household. As your president, I am not going to let that happen. I'm going to reverse this country's decline. We are going to choose strength, not surrender when it comes to the CCP.
America is not a country in decline. Under Joe Biden, we are a country in retreat.
Proposed, quote, universal deportation for all
Bro thought
undocumented
he cooked with
immigrants
that one.
and their
He
children.
was sitting there the whole
even if
time
the
waiting to
children
just launch
are
it out
citizens
there.
of
He's
the
like, oh
United
yeah,
States.
this
Bro thought he was cooking.
So the first thing I want to say is I agree with everything the Republicans on the stage are on the right
Confucius?
side of this issue. Militarize the southern border, stop funding sanctuary cities, and end foreign aid to Mexico and Central America to end the incentives to come across. But I do go a step further. You're right about that, Ilya. I favor ending birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal immigrants in this country.
Did we put that on the bingo card?
I don't remember.
Probably too easy. It was too easy. We don't roll with that.
The difference between me and them is I've actually read the 14th Amendment. What it says is that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the laws and jurisdiction thereof are citizens.
They're breaking
so
the law.
Nobody believes that the kid of a Mexican diplomat in this country enjoys birthright citizenship. Not a judge or legal scholar in this country will disagree with me on that. Well, if the kid of a Mexican diplomat doesn't enjoy birthright citizenship, then neither does the kid of an illegal migrant who broke the law to come here.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Two sons, it is hard for me to look them in the eye and say, you have to follow the law when our own government fails to follow its own laws. That's how we really go the distance and solve this problem.
Okay, the simple answer here, without the nuance needed to get into it, is that the kid didn't do anything wrong. The kid didn't ask to be brought to the United States. The kid didn't ask to be born to parents that maybe are doing crimes, maybe are in impoverished situations. The kid should be able to get citizenship if they were born here. Obviously, it's the humane thing to do.
As it relates to slavery, not as it relates to illegal immigration. It's been applied to illegal immigration. So the challenge that we face is, in fact, one that has to do with whether or not the people that come here are under the jurisdiction of our laws. And frankly, if you come here illegally, you are not. Now, surviving
you're in the US.
Supreme Court argument is something I can't tell you. But from a perspective of the Constitution, I think it's simple that clearly it was designed for slavery and not for illegal immigration. I'll go one step further, though. When we have a conversation,
What are we
about the
doing?
things that are
Interpreting
happening
the
on this
Constitution
stage,
here.
We think about the fact that
I'm an
Vivek just said
originalist.
we were all
Whoa,
good
now.
people, and I appreciate that because last debate he said we were all bought and paid for, and I thought about that for a little while and said, you know, I can't imagine how you can say that knowing that you were just
That's an
in
uncanny
business
smile.
with the
It's
Chinese
fake.
Communist Party and the same people that funded Hunter Biden millions of dollars was a partner of yours as well. It's not nonsense.
So look, here's what I want to respond. These are good people who are tainted by a broken system, and it's not the fault of anybody who's involved.
Everyone's a victim in my eyes.
Excuse me. Thank you for speaking while I'm interrupting. While I'm speaking.
You said
Interrupting while I'm speaking. Vivek is a liberal.
You can't be on both sides.
Gentlemen, you'll have your turn.
One of the challenges
So listen up.
we should have
Please focus on the issues that matter. We know we did business in China. Everybody knows that.
shit.
Focus on holding Joe Biden accountable. That's what we need to be focused on.
Bro, let's go.
Joe Biden, China? Is that the bingo card?
No one can understand
Exactly.
your message.
So if I may, I agree with Ron Desantis.
Vivek is a citizen due to birthright citizenship. We talked about it before we started. He got nailed on it in an MSNBC
We
interview.
opened a subsidiary in China. But you know what I did that was different than every other company? We got the hell out of there. And when I started my next company...
After we made hella money over there.
After I made hundreds of millions of dollars.
After I brought people here on work visas.
Excuse me.
No.
To compete against BlackRock.
He's a liberal.
I made a commitment that we
would never do business in China. And I will say something.
I think you have more than time to explain your point.
Well, if I was interrupted by a lot of people here, and I want to be respectful because I believe these are good people, but I do not believe in these. We're sitting here in the Reagan.
I don't know, man. You can never win points being like they interrupted me.
If I may, from one,
you'll never look cool.
Of Ronald Reagan to another.
Tim's going in.
From one admirer of Reagan to another.
Look at Tim lean. Tim is cool, calm, and collected. Look at him chilling.
I want to hear about that. Let's have a policy debate.
You said, "Whoa, this guy over here. Can you get a load of this guy?"
Let's have about their record. Let's have a policy debate. And the right answer is we need to declare independence from China.
Where's the dig?
Vice President Pence, in 2017, the Trump-Pence administration canceled DACA, which put the legal status of 600,000
They are hammering immigration.
dreamers
I didn't
in
think
the
they'd go
hands
this hard
of
on
the
it.
courts. Dreamers work and they pay taxes.
You gotta cross the hell out of that bingo box.
If the Supreme Court ends DACA, would you work with Congress to reach a permanent solution for dreamers?
Well, first, let me say I'm glad Vivek pulled out of his business deal in 2018 in China. That must have been about the time he decided to start
they hate him.
presidential elections. So we're nice to have you
fighting for second place. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Speak to this issue. Number one, I negotiated the Remain in Mexico policy with the Mexican government. We used economic power to bring the Mexican government to the table. We built hundreds of miles of border
This is a
walls.
question about DACA.
And despite what's said here today, we reduced illegal immigration and asylum abuse by 90%. And as President of the United States, I can do it
DACA
again.
has nothing to do with this.
The truth is, we need to fix a broken immigration system, and I'll do that as well. But first and foremost, a nation without borders is not a nation. And we have to secure the southern border of the United States of America. I know how to do it, and we will do it again. Let me say one other thing about China.
Man,
Let me say one other thing about China.
Would you negotiate with Congress to give a solution to the problem that dreamers have right now? They are on a limbo.
Well, let me tell you, I served in Congress for 12 years, although it seemed longer. But you know, something I've done different than everybody on this stage is I've actually secured reform in Congress. You know, Ron, you talk a really good game about cutting spending, but you've increased spending in Florida by 30%.
Get his ass.
When I was a member of Congress in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina, Dana, you remember it, we stood our ground. I led House conservatives. We cut $100 billion out of the federal budget.
We evicted single mothers.
As I said in the last debate, I'll say again.
We did not respond appropriately, and that was on me.
To get Congress to step up.
Yeah, because the government's response to Katrina was great. Nobody was left behind when that happened.
I told people not to go in, and that saved the U.S. taxpayer, you and me, hundreds of dollars.
I propose to go to a break.
Oh,
How will these
sick.
candidates
That's what I propose
make
as well.
America safer as rising crime plagues our cities?
Crime.
Debate night.
Hell yeah, baby.
Okay, we're gonna cut away for a second here. I have so many thoughts. Let's start from the beginning. So the first thing they tried to do when they were asked about the UAW thing was pin it on Joe Biden because they're saying workers are striking right now because their wages can't keep up with inflation. Meaning it's Joe Biden's fault because inflation is happening under Joe Biden. I see like the logical thread they're trying to go for by blaming this on Joe Biden. But let's assume for just a second that like, okay, that's a fine cogent argument to start with. It doesn't do anything about the fact that the executive compensation is up enormously compared to worker compensation.
Yeah.
And that is in part driving inflation because companies have been proven, and I'm sure Ford and Stellantis, et cetera, could probably be mathematically proven to have done this as well. Corporations have raised their prices beyond what is necessary to offset for increased costs of production. Even if inflation is Joe Biden's fault, corporations have raised their prices more than they have needed to, driving inflation even further. But Republicans cannot ever criticize the rich. It's always got to be Joe Biden.
No, they can't. They'll never be able to get up here on a Republican debate stage and address any role that corporations have to play in any of this at all.
Yeah.
They'll never get on here and say, well, while the cost of inputs did increase during the 2020 pandemic and we're still feeling the effects of that now, these corporations did increase, prices beyond that to increase their profits over what it would have taken to just maintain them.
Also,
They'll never
as if,
say that.
as if no company or corporation was on strike while Trump was in office. They wouldn't have blamed that on him. And that's besides the point that over the last 50 years or so, more than 50 years at this point, wages haven't kept up with productivity. The disconnection between inflation and real wages has been real over the past several decades.
Real.
And how could that be blamed on Joe Biden? Like, it's just, there's no holistic approach to this. And it's because they want to run defense for the rich people. If they were actually on the side of the workers and were against Joe Biden for whatever reason, they'd be out there on the picket line as well, getting their photo ops. But they haven't done that.
10 squares in bingo? We're only 30 minutes into this. That's crazy. Do we have bingo yet?
What was we might. The other thing I wanted to say, they talked a lot about immigration and DACA, which is deferred action for childhood arrivals. DACA going away would be disastrous, will be disastrous if it happens. It's really important that kids don't get deported for being brought here.
Because that's all DACA does is stop kids who were brought here because their parents made the decision to bring
16,
them over below 16, and it lets them stay in the country and not uproot their entire lives and go back to a place that they have no functional ties to because they've lived their entire life here in America.
Yeah. Also, of course, that's besides the fact that, as we mentioned kind of in the pre-show, that immigration has a net benefit economically for the United States. And also, I think Donovan dropped the stat into the chat while this was going on. You're much more likely to be a victim of a crime from an actual U.S. citizen, like not someone who's a non-immigrant, than you are to be victimized by someone that either immigrated illegally or even is a legal immigrant here. It's much. I don't even remember the stat. What's it that a Texan's more likely to assault you?
A native-born Texan is more likely to assault you, to sexually assault you, I think, than an immigrant is.
Right. Exactly. The issue is not immigrants. Obviously, they're the most vulnerable people on the planet.
The issue is native-born Texans. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah. No, it's just psychotic answers from Republicans.
Shout out to DACA. Only reason I'm in college. Exactly. The only reason you're in college in the country you've lived in your entire life, and these motherfuckers want to take it away just to get some political points.
Yeah, well, and also because they hate
evil.
immigrants. Because they're evil, and immigration's always a proxy for race in their eyes. It's bad. Also, the start, dog.
Yeah.
The start?
The start was sick.
When he fumbled the name.
Oh, my God.
And then she was like, yes, thank you. Oh, man, that was crazy.
I couldn't catch it. He fumbled the name and he stuttered through it. Did he ever end up correcting it?
No, she was just like, good evening. All right, it's coming back.
Man, I love old white guys.
Hang on, let me turn on the sound.
Yeah.
That means the fewer questions you're going to get. Okay, so we want to talk about
fewer
crime.
questions you're going to get the more you interrupt?
Problem
That's
in
gas.
our country. The Fox News and others have been covering it. Governor Christie, crime in major cities is striking fear into the hearts of Americans. Just last night, looters took over the streets of Philadelphia.
Looting.
Philadelphia
You
looting.
said in the last debate that you would use U.S. attorneys to prosecute crimes local prosecutors won't. But they are stretched as well, and they could not handle all of the lawlessness, the shoplifting, all the carjackings, the armed robberies. They're all surging. Progressive prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, I'm the only one on this stage who's done it. For 7 years, I ran the 5th largest office in this country. At the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey. And we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken. And the reason was that we went after the crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back under control.
You are to prosecute every instance of petty theft.
No doubt about that, but that's what they take the job for, because they love the idea of enforcing the law. We've got to bring law and order back to this country, and not just in our cities, but we need law and order back everywhere. We need law and order back in our suburbs. People are threatened there. We need it in our rural areas. People feel threatened there, and we need it in Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
Governor DeSantis, you fired.
That's worse than the Taylor Swift thing.
Prosecutors in your state, but as president, you would not have the ability to do that. How do you
think about dealing with the root causes of crime, especially
The
this
root,
revolving
yeah, what a
door
fucking
of
joke.
criminals
The
that
root
just
cause of
get
crime
out
is
and come back and
prosecutors.
commit
Give me a
another crime.
fucking break.
Well, the crime in these cities is one of the strongest signs of the decaying of America. We can't be successful as a country if people aren't even safe to live in places like Los Angeles and San
Let's hear
Francisco.
the booze. That's what I'm
Just
saying.
being
They
in
need to
Southern
ramp it up.
California over the last couple of days, my wife and I have met 3 people who have been mugged on the street, and that would have never happened
He's making it
10
up.
or 20 years ago.
He's making it
in
up.
Florida,
It actually would have happened 10 or 20 years ago. That's when the 90s crime wave happened. The actual largest crime wave that's ever happened. When crime was actually more of an issue.
It actually would have been more likely to
Two
happen.
progressive prosecutors that weren't following the law in Florida. I removed them from their post, and the people of Florida are
Isn't he
safer
getting
as a
in
result
trouble
of it.
for
As
removing one of them
president,
from their post? He's
I will
being
use the
sued.
Justice Department to bring civil rights cases against all of those left-wing Soros-funded prosecutors. We're not going to let them get away with it
All
anymore.
3 people?
We want to reverse this country's decline. We need to choose law and order over rioting and disorder.
That's not a bar.
Smile, did you see it?
Governor Haley,
The Homelander smile?
there's a nationwide policing shortage. Retirements are up. Recruitment is in the tank.
Defund the police.
Morale is at a record low.
been defunded.
3 years ago, you signed a pledge to support law enforcement. Now, pledges are a nice idea, but what's your actual plan to get more police on our streets?
Well, and I actually did it in South Carolina, too.
Less training.
What we knew in South Carolina was you take care of those who take care of you.
Walk-in
We have to
applications.
start taking care of law enforcement, but it's not just taking care of them with
1 week
words.
course.
It's making sure that you also follow through on what
You know,
they do.
these
Right now, we
officers,
have
they're
a lot
bogged
of
down
Too many
by
regulations,
on
too
the
many
street.
training
Well, these
courses.
law enforcement officers, they arrest these people, and then they go and they're let out the very next day.
These
So
law enforcement
feels
officers,
like they
they
don't
gotta
know when
like learn so much about not putting people in chokeholds.
She said that the cops catch people, then they're let out 24 hours later. Like, you want to hold them longer?
I think she's trying to hit on the bail reform stuff. Because I know that was a big thing last year. It was like, oh, New York City's letting violent criminals go with no bail.
No, that was only Illinois.
Oh,
nowhere
yeah.
else did it.
Yeah.
The number
God
one
damn.
antibiotic that we need.
I know
And
they
right
try to
now
say that
there's a
every liberal
company in
city's doing
Bristol,
that.
Tennessee that produces that. Yet our
No
federal
GED
government
required.
gets it from
Lottery
China. We need to be focusing on companies that produce in America and supporting those companies that produce
This
in
is
America.
about
Not
cops.
companies that are helping China.
We must have missed something.
Foreign policy later. Delia?
Thank you, Stuart. We're going to
Cops should be able to hold people for years.
Yeah,
Without,
personally.
without a
all
conviction.
of us. Governor Burgum, for the first time ever, a Univision poll found that mass shootings and gun safety are one of the most important issues for Latino voters.
Oh, he doesn't give a shit.
Concerns are
He
not
stopped
unique
caring.
to the
What's a
United
Latino?
States, but gun violence.
North Dakota doesn't have any of those.
What
That's what he's
is
going
your
to say.
specific plan to curb gun violence?
Well, first we need to know is understand is I think that the
more
liberal
guns.
left seems to be just completely bent on prosecuting law-abiding citizens that are gun owners because every
the debate's
solution
2
they have to
hours,
this
Sir Mac.
is take away the Second Amendment rights of Americans and somehow that's going to solve the problem. But all these cities that we're talking about that he showed the videos of tonight, they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. So we know that that's not
Cops
what's
to
working.
China,
what we
that's
have
what
to
I'm
do is
saying.
get back to the core issues about the family. We have to get back to behavioral health and mental health. We've got to get back to actually enforcing the laws these people talked about. And they're like,
Nuclear family will stop mass shootings.
Friendly state in the nation. We've got the most military and the most
School
support
prayer.
of what we're doing in terms of law enforcement.
School
because
prayer.
The morale is down because we've been defunding the police because they've been attacked in the press. The police have become the bad guys when they're the one. There's all these jobs available in
You know
America.
what I'm
Why
saying?
would you be a policeman if people don't even respect them? Every
Christ.
time I see a policeman, the first thing I say is thank you. And so does everybody else in my family and most of the people in our state because they know we have to respect the people that are out there defending us every single day. Can I answer the question?
Thanking a cop personally.
Officer, thank you so much for what you do every day. Thank you for pulling me over for going 2 to 5 over.
At official border crossings, and 57% of the
Again?
smugglers are U.S. citizens. How would you stop fentanyl brought into the country, mostly by U.S. citizens, through ports of entry?
Yes, this is what we
There's two
said.
sides to this, and we have to be very honest about it.
It's really
One
not
is
the
we
U.S.
do have to
citizens, you
seal
see.
that
I
southern
disagree.
Border. Building the wall is
Well,
not
they're
enough.
only U.S.
They're
citizens
building
because of
financed
birthright
tunnels
citizenship.
underneath that wall. Semi-trucks can drive through them. We have to use our own military to seal the
say there's
Swiss cheese of the
tunnels?
southern
Yeah.
border. But we
The
also have to be
semi-trucks
honest.
can drive through.
There's
Semi-trucks
a
are fed.
demand side problem in this country too. A mental health epidemic. I met family in
Addiction.
Iowa. two parents, Kathy and Derek. They lost their son, Sebastian, 17 years old. He bought Percocet on Snapchat, and then he died. Why did he die? Because it was laced with fentanyl. That is closer to bioterrorism, not a drug overdose. That is poisoning. So it is our job to make sure that never happens.
Regular ports of entry.
Our job to make sure that 17-year-olds don't turn to Percocet via Snapchat. We have to bring back mental health care in this country, not with pumping pharmaceuticals, but with faith-based approaches.
Faith-based approaches
and meaning in the next generation of Americans.
I need that
Many
Snapchat
of them are getting it through social media. And this isn't a Republican point or a Democrat point, but if you're 16 years old or under, you should not be using an addictive social media product, period. This is something that we can both agree on, and we can revive both the mental
Facebook's
health
about
of this
to
country
assassinate this guy.
Snapchat's the problem with drugs in this country.
This year than who died on 9/11, and I refuse to be a passive bystander.
9/11?
Sitting in the White House like the hollowed out husk of a current president we have. We will step up and
guys, I look away for 2 seconds and bro brings up 9/11.
Quit encouraging TikTok?
That is why, as Commander-in-Chief, I'm going to use the U.S. military to go after the Mexican drug cartels.
Oh my God! Oh my fucking God! Oh my! Did they not listen? She said it is U.S. citizens through regular ports of entry, and he's talking about fucking Mexican cartels.
Only the people that had rented it before were using drugs. The infant was crawling. The toddler was crawling on the carpet.
Oh no! Is
and
he
ingested fentanyl residue and died.
What?
Are we just going to sit here and let this happen, this carnage happen in our country? I am not going to do that.
That's that post-birth abortion.
I guarantee you on day one, this border is going to be a day one issue for me as president. We're going to declare it a national emergency. Yes, we'll build the wall. We'll do remain in Mexico. But those Mexican drug cartels are going to be treated like
regular U.S. citizens. 50% from U.S. citizens. Why don't they correct them on that?
To a different issue. Hold on, sir. Vice President Pence. Just last month,
no tunnels larger. Yeah, okay, sorry.
You said if elected, you would repeal all Obamacare mandates. However, you also made that same promise in 2016. And at that time, Trump-Pence had congressional majorities for at least the first 2 years, and you did not deliver on that promise. So Obamacare, right now, it is more popular than ever. Why should Americans trust you, if you become president, to fix that, or is Obamacare here to stay?
Well, first, let me speak to the mass shootings issue, and then I'll answer that question. It's an important one, Dana.
That wasn't an option.
Look, I'm someone that believes that justice delayed is justice denied.
What?
And as a father of three, as a grandfather of three beautiful little girls, I am sick and tired of these mass shootings happening in the United States of America. And if I'm president of the United States, I'm going to go to the Congress of the United States, and we're going to pass a federal expedited death penalty for anyone involved in a mass shooting so that they will meet their fate in months, not years.
Very pro-life.
It is unconscionable.
What a non-solution. They all fucking kill themselves anyway.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
The Parkland shooter, like the high-profile case, like one of the only ones who did.
Florida. That's not justice. We have to mete out justice and send a message to these would-be killers.
That was a jury. A jury decided that he shouldn't get that. A jury interferes.
It doesn't solve the problem.
Is here to stay.
Most of them fucking kill themselves. I don't think they're worried about the death penalty, dog.
Thank you for reiterating the question, because I'd love to answer.
It's almost always on purpose. Like they mean to die.
I think it's one of the choices here. You know, my former running mate, Donald Trump, actually has a plan to start to consolidate more power in Washington, D.C., consolidate more power in the executive branch. If I'm president of the United States, it's my intention to make the federal government smaller by returning to the states those resources and programs that are rightfully theirs under the 10th Amendment of the Constitution. That means all Obamacare funding, all housing funding,
is Obamacare
all
not
HHS
done through the
funding,
states?
all of it goes back to the states. We'll shut
I was
down
under the
the Federal
impression that it was
Department
already
of
done through
Education.
states.
Will allow states
Maybe
to
not.
innovate. We're going to revive federalism in America, and states are going to help bring America back.
He's winning elections on federalism.
Why is Doug
frame so that we can get as many questions in as possible? This question for Governor DeSantis. Over 26 million Americans don't have insurance coverage. Governor DeSantis, 2.5 million of them are in your state. That's worse than the national average.
Get his dumb ass.
Can Americans trust you on this?
Well, I think this is a symptom of our overall economic decline.
Move on.
Everything has gotten more expensive. You see insurance rates are going through the roof.
Medicare for all?
People that are going to get groceries. I spoke with a woman in Iowa, and she said, for
Romney
the first time in my life, I'm having to take things out of my grocery cart when I get to the checkout line because the total goes up so quickly. So this is very real, and people are hurting out there. So we've got to address the underlying problem with
if not to watch us talk through the debate?
Taking all Biden's rules and regulations. I'm going to throw them in the trash can on day one. You're not going to have to worry about that. We're going to open up all of our energy. We will be energy dominant in this country. That will lower your gas prices. And what we need to do with healthcare
about how his state is doing bad with healthcare.
Patients at the back of the bus. We have big pharma, big insurance, and big government, and we need to tackle that and have more power for the people and the doctor-patient relationship.
Governor, why is your record in Florida on insurance worse than the national average?
Our state's a dynamic state. We've got a lot of folks that come. Of course, we've had a population boom. We also don't have a lot of welfare benefits in Florida. We're basically say this is a field of dreams. You can do well in the state, but we're not going to be like California and have massive numbers of people on government programs without work requirements. We believe you work and you got to do that. And so that goes for all the welfare benefits. And you know what that's done, Stuart? Our unemployment rate is the lowest amongst any big state. We have the highest GDP growth amongst any big state. And even CNBC, no fan of mine, ranked Florida the #1 economy in America.
CNBC is full of demons.
Did he just hit a smile after that? Did he hit a little
Healthcare is the leading cause of bankruptcy for American families, accounting for 2/3 of all personal bankruptcies.
She's spitting.
As president, how you protect Americans who get sick from financial ruin?
First of all, how can we be the best country in the world and have the most expensive health care in the world?
Work on your immune system.
Medicare for all?
Oh, she's spitting. And when she was in the hospital, they tried to bring her a couple of Tylenol. And she said, I don't need it. And they said, honey, go ahead and take it because you're paying for it anyway. Why is it that when we got the bill, the insurance company and the hospital negotiated the bill for her without her having anything to do with it? When I am president, we will break all of it, from the insurance company to the hospitals to the doctor's offices to the PBMs to the pharmaceutical companies. We will make it all transparent, because when you do that, you will realize that's what the problem is. Second thing is
they'll still charge you the same. You'll just know.
The doctors don't give you the 10 tests because they want to. It's
we
because
already
of the
have the no
90%
surprises
chance they'll
bill,
get
but
sued.
it conveniently doesn't cover ambulance rides.
Competition back to healthcare. Get rid of certificate of need systems and make sure that
more
they can
competition.
Compete.
That's what's going to do it.
We have to put the patient in the driver's seat. They've been in the back seat for way too long. And once we give the patient the ability to decide their healthcare, deciding which plan they want, that is when we will see magic
within the free market of the healthcare system, then competition would drive the prices down, and everybody wins.
They all have them, and we need to fix this on behalf of the American people.
And that's what we did.
Do you have a better way in 30 seconds?
Well, yes, we're not talking about the real problem ever. We talk about why do we have the most expensive health care in the world? It's because the federal government got involved the same way they did with EVs, and they said, we're going to subsidize
same with EVs. It's the same as EVs.
And they said, hey, we're going to
healthcare is free in other countries where the federal government got involved.
You don't get EVs though. To you and their hands on a keyboard. The only industry in the world that's ever absorbed $1 trillion of IT and became less productive. They saw less patients per day is U.S. healthcare because they were subsidizing a certain kind of technology. It wasn't about improving healthcare. It was about picking winners and losers. Every time the federal government's involved, whether it's higher education, healthcare, or now the auto industry, things get more expensive and less competitive.
That was a great transition because we are going to move on the future of education in America. What's the government's role in finding a way forward?
All right, I think we're going to a break.
The second Republican debate rolls on from Simi Valley.
I got to go to the bathroom.
An informed patriotism is what we need.
What is this? What's
Are
going
we
on
doing
here?
a good enough job teaching our children what America is and what she represents in the long history of the world?
Okay, all right.
Okay, that was corny. I'll be right back.
The delusion. Oh my God. I feel like the second act of this unconventional 4-act debate structure has been a little less vibrant, a little less flashy than the first bit. We really started great when we got going, and I feel like it kind of fell off a little bit there. I did not expect that they'd be hitting immigration so hard. I really didn't. I don't know why I didn't, because it makes sense. But hold on, let me decide between Let me decide between a $24,000 meds or a $3 million treatment, basically. But if we had competition, then it would all go down, right? If you were a rational actor in the healthcare marketplace, you'd be able to do everything. Reagan jump scare is crazy. I love spending $50 every time I see my cardiologist. That's what I'm saying. I love $200 coming out of my paycheck every fucking month just to be able to have healthcare. To be able to have it, not even use it. It's more to use it. Hey, are you allowing us? Okay, Jane. Hey, are you allowing us to watch the debate, or do you want to dazzle us all with your sarcasm? I'm a liberal, but if I would sponsor televising the debate, I'd allow viewers to listen to it. Why the fuck are you here then? You clicked on a political commentary channel to watch the debate. Of course we're going to comment over it. This is crazy. This is crazy. Me when I don't understand the product I'm consuming. I think there should be a horror movie with a rainy analog. Man, I agree. That was what my mom called it. She said they were going to go hard on immigration. Damn, bro. Your mom coming for our jobs. If we get Biden impeachment, we get a bingo. How close are we to bingo in other ways? I feel like, I don't know if that one necessarily got us any closer, because the first 30 seconds, like I said, really just got through. We got another comment about talking over the debate, but this time it was from a liberal.
Yeah,
so it was okay.
I heard you yelling. Were they just like joking, or were they serious?
No, they're like, hey y'all, watching the debate, love to hear all your sarcasm over it, but if you're broadcasting the debate, why don't you allow us to hear it?
Me when political commentators politically commentate.
That's exactly crazy,
dog. If you Fox News is free, you can go and look it up right now, and you can just watch it without us if you don't want to hear it.
Bro is trying to hear them out. Didn't cross off any more squares. Okay. I was for an aviation medical. I paid for it. It's required by the FAA, federal institution. I have to get renewed every 3 years. Why isn't it free? It should.
Fetterman sure or Biden impeachment could give us a bingo. See, I feel like those are likely.
I think Biden impeachment is more likely than Fetterman sure, but I don't know. Maybe Biden impeachment. Maybe that's too much of a Freedom Caucus issue. None of these guys are really Freedom Caucus guys.
Yeah, Jeremy spitting.
Always.
Trying, bro.
Always.
Tim Scott versus Vivek, though, that was good. Mm-hmm. Tim Scott got some punches in, and I think if you're not hitting DeSantis, you got to be hitting Vivek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Chris Christie was such a fucking liberal. Check that box off 100 times over.
Donald Duck, baby, it's bingo alone right there.
What does that mean? What was bro cooking? Yeah, Tim was working Vivek with the 1-2. I can't lie to you.
As of now, an hour into the debate, I don't know if I could confidently say who I think any of the standouts are. I don't think anyone's performed well.
Tim Scott did better than I thought he would, but he's not by any means like a standout performer.
The bars in hell, he did better than he did last time.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone's really
Vivek is getting dogged on. He can't get a word out, and he's doing like the liberal thing where he's like, let me speak. Let me speak.
Whoa, you're interrupting me.
Yeah.
The marketplace of ideas. Donald Duck all day, baby. Virgin Tim Scott is trying to swing.
Hey man, I need the question answered. You know what I'm saying?
I need the question answered. I wonder what else. He was goofy for that one. I wonder, what are they going to hit on now? Do we think they hit the trans issue?
Maybe. It's all been about like immigration and economic stuff, which is good. Like
inflation.
It's good to see that economics isn't like a thing where they're like, let's get this out of the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. That's true.
It's been all economics, and they had some Obamacare in there at the end.
Obamacare was wild.
Well, notice how none of their solutions to healthcare is to like get rid of the fact that it's privatized.
That's more companies.
Because the privatization of an essential good is what drives the cost up, because they know they can charge you whatever they want and get as much money as possible.
Oh shit, are we about to
because
head
you
back?
can't afford to not afford it, right? Yeah, they're about to be back on.
It's an inelastic good.
Yeah,
you have to pay for it.
The commodification of inelastic goods drives the prices up. That's like 101.
That's literally, I learned that in Macro
Ronald
101.
Reagan Presidential Library in the Air Force One Pavilion
Democracy
for the second Republican
24.
debate. And let's get back to our questions.
That chopper is crazy.
American students, they are in academic trouble. They have lower scores in math and reading. There's chronic absenteeism. That's at record highs. And this has even been called education homicide. You say school choice is the answer, but South Carolina, your home state, still has not enacted universal school choice, and even the current expansion won't be fully implemented until 2027. Parents can't wait 4 years for a fix. So what would you do right now?
Well, and school choice isn't the only answer, but I'll tell you it's not out of a lack of trying that we didn't try and get school choice in South Carolina. What I'll tell you, first of all, is we have to acknowledge the fact that 67% of our 8th graders are not proficient in reading or math. Over 80% of our 8th graders aren't proficient in history or civics. And recently they came out and said our 12 and 13-year-olds are scoring at the lowest levels they've been scoring in reading and math in decades. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to make sure we catch our kids back up. We have to make sure they can read. A child that can't read by 3rd grade is 4 times less likely to graduate high school. We need to do reading remediation. We need complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in the classroom. We need to make sure that we have school choice.
And this is where we start to pivot.
We need to move all the programs from the federal government down to the states and let states
School
decide
choice
what
is also
education
such a
looks like
band-aid
in their
solution
states.
of the
And
actual
we need
issue.
to
The
start
issue is
building
underfunding
things
in
and let's put
education.
vocational
Teachers
classes
having
back
class
in our high
sizes
schools,
fucking
and let's
balloon.
get our kids
Absolutely.
building
Their
the things
pay
that we
not
know
going
that
up,
we
getting
can
paid
make.
shit, having to pay
When
for
we
all
start
their
to
own
focus
class
on
supplies
that and
itself.
really
They
bring in
don't
that
have the
parental
resources they need
involvement,
to actually
that's
focus
when
on
we'll
the
start
kids
to see
who
a
are
difference.
struggling,
But we've
and the
got
kids
to
who are
get
struggling get
parents
pushed
back
into shitty
included.
programs that are
We've
also
got to quit spending
underfunded.
time
So they
on
want to
this
say, let's
DEI
take these
and
kids and just put them in
CRT
another
and
school that they
focus
can
on
choose to go to,
financial
which
literacy,
further
on digital
defunds the
literacy,
school that
and
they
on
were
making sure
attending
that
that
our
was
kids know what
underfunded
they need
because
to
they
do
lose the
to have
tax
the
dollars the
jobs
state
of
gives
the
them
next
for their head.
generation.
It's ridiculous. And if
Well, yeah,
it gives more
and-
money to the school, it's better off.
Those schools are underfunded because we fund schools based on property taxes,
Yeah.
meaning the wealthier an area you live in, the better school you go to, which is backwards of how it should be.
Well with math and reading. Black and Hispanic students averaging 29 points lower than white students in New Jersey. Would you address minorities first?
Maybe it's because of property taxes. Maybe it's because of how we fund schools.
It's CRT.
In our state, Stuart, frankly, before I was governor, that gap was close to 50%. And what we did was institute more charter schools and more Renaissance schools and more public school choice in New Jersey with innovative solutions in cities like Camden, where now we took what was the worst school district in America during my time, and we have now increased that by nearly 40% in terms of their proficiency. It can be done when you give people choice. But let's tell the truth to everybody about what this is. This public school system is no longer run by the public. It is run by the teachers' unions in this country. Randy Weingarten and her crew are absolutely strangling. They're
Big teacher.
the worst of their members and defending them rather than advocating for our kids. And when you have the President of the United States sleeping with a member of the teachers union, there is no chance that you could take the stranglehold away.
Oh, he's talking about
from the
Jill?
teachers
Talking about
union
Jill,
every
his
day.
wife. That's
They
so
have an
sick.
advocate
Fucking
inside the
wife.
White House every day for the worst of their teachers. Not
She's
for
just
our
a lobbyist.
students
Yeah,
to be
dog. The
best
people
they
that got
can
it too good
be.
are the
President of
fucking
United States
teachers in
is
this
taking on
country.
the teachers union.
What are
I
you
did
talking
it in
about?
New
It's also
Jersey,
important to
and
keep in
I will
mind that
do
the
it as President
conditions
of the
that
United
teachers
States.
teach in and the money that they get to teach directly impacts how well the student can learn. If you improve teaching conditions, you improve learning conditions. Let's keep it together here.
Hey man, you're ignoring how Jill Biden is just lobbying Joe.
Big teacher.
Big teacher.
Big teacher.
In the
for their
pocket.
personal benefit. You have said slaves develop skills in spite of slavery,
Let's go.
not because of it. But many are still hurt. For descendants
He's
of slaves, this is personal. What is your message to them?
So first of all, that's a hoax that was perpetrated by Kamala Harris. We are not going to be doing that. Second of all, that was written by descendants of slaves. These are great Black history scholars, so we need to stop playing these games. Here's the deal.
Is it
Our
wrong
country's
or is it not?
education
He
system
said
is
that's
in
a hoax,
decline
but
because
it was
it's
also
focused on
written by descendants of
indoctrination,
slaves.
denying parents' rights. Florida represents the revival of American education. We're ranked #1 in the nation in education by U.S. News and World Report. My wife and I, we have a 6, 5, and 3-year-old. This is personal to us. We didn't just talk about universal school choice, we enacted universal school choice. We didn't just talk about Parents' Bill of Rights, we enacted the Parents' Bill of Rights. We eliminated critical race theory, and we now have American civics and the Constitution in our schools in a really big way, just like President Reagan asked for in his farewell address back in 1989. Florida is showing how it's done. We're standing with parents, and our kids are benefiting.
Bro, Ronnie, that had nothing to do with you saying that slavery wasn't that bad. And nothing to do. Complete deflection. And I don't understand why these moderators won't nail them on that. Why do they have the balls to ask these people these questions in the first place if they're not going to follow up and nail them?
No follow-up.
They allow them to give non-answers.
We overcome that. We are the greatest nation on earth because we faced our demons in the mirror and made a decision.
He's facing his
so often
demons,
we think
his
that
virginity
all the issues,
demon.
you talked about crime and education and healthcare. We always think that those issues go back to slavery. Here's the challenge.
It's bad,
though.
Dylan. It's bad.
Families survived slavery. We survived poll taxes and literacy tests. We survived discrimination.
Bring them back
into the laws of our country. What was hard
and we can
to
survive it again.
Was Johnson's Great Society, where they decided to put money, where they decided to take the black father out of the household to get a check in the mail, and you can now measure that in unemployment, in crime, in devastation. If you want to restore hope, you've got to restore the
war on
family,
drugs, which was created to jail black men, was created by LBJ.
American family. Our nation continues to go in the right direction. It's why I can say I have been discriminated against, but America is not a racist country. Never, ever doubt who we are.
I was going to say it's never been.
We are the greatest country on God's green earth, and frankly, the city of the hill needs a brand new leader, and I'm asking for your vote.
I'm going to have a question for you, Mr. Ramaswamy. Over 10.7 million students in over 18,000 public schools nationwide have the ability to change their identity without parental notification. Governor Christie told Stewart last week that he would pass a federal law to protect parental rights. Would you try to do the same?
I have to be very clear about this. Transgenderism, especially in kids, is a mental health disorder. We have to acknowledge the truth of that for what it is. I met two young women early in this campaign.
Specifically on parental rights in schools.
Parents have the right to know. And you know what the hypocrisy of this is?
Why?
Even New Hampshire failed to actually get past a piece of legislation here. The very people who say that this increases the risk of suicide are also the ones saying that parents don't have the right to know about that increased risk.
Because it increases the risk of suicide. Dumbass.
To affirm a kid's confusion. That is not compassion, that is cruelty. I met two young women, Chloe and Katie, early in this campaign, who are in their 20s, now regret getting double mastectomies and a hysterectomy.
I met
One of
two
them
people.
will never have children. And the fact that we allowed that to happen
Millions of people live in this country. I met two of them.
So I will ban genital mutilation or chemical castration under the age of 18, and parents have absolutely
Would you try
the right.
to pass a federal law that says parents should have that right?
We are going to require states absolutely have to follow that through.
Governor Burgum
We
just to
stand
follow
for
up on
parental
this
rights.
because
Yes.
you in your state you do not have
Good
a law
Lord.
that says parents can't be
That's a
notified.
jump
But you
scare
wanna be
right
president.
there. Holy shit.
Would you try to pass a federal law to say parents have that right?
I think this is a state's issue, but I do want to say something because all night long we've been talking about issues about how it's broken in Washington, and I respect all of the people on the stage here for their 100+ years of public service. Thank you. But the reason why we're not talking about education or healthcare or safety being a problem in North Dakota is because we have a business leader. I've got more experience as a business leader.
No, literally, heavy on that, Haley. Transfer grad rate is only 1%.
Thousands of high-paying jobs that have real meaning. So as a business leader, you come in and you treat the taxpayer like a customer. So in North Dakota, instead of fighting with the teachers' unions, we actually created a K-12 coordinating council. Everybody gets in the room, and the customer is the student.
But you do understand that this is an issue that many people in America really are concerned about, worried about parents and notification in schools.
Yes, and that's why we have 50
Are they?
platforms of innovation.
Nobody has the right to out anyone in any circumstance, whether or not that's to their parents, to anyone. You do not have the right to give up that amount of personal information. Kids do not have to tell you everything, and they shouldn't be able to. Some parents are just straight up abusive. And it's so fucking stupid, dog. I don't understand where people get by this. I don't understand where people sit here and think this.
Somebody dropped the stat into the chat, but the regret rate for trans people is incredibly low.
Yeah,
1%. So it's ridiculous to even posit that detransitioners are like a big portion of the community that should be heeded to the extent that federal laws should be made, barring what people can do. It's ridiculous, and it's obviously just transphobic.
1% of 1% of the population gets out there and says, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I regret this decision. Maybe it wasn't for me." And not even the full 1% of people who regret it go back and say that, "Oh, this shouldn't be allowed to happen."
Yeah.
It's an even smaller fraction of the 1% of the 1%.
It sucks that you may regret a decision, but the government can't prevent you from making all mistakes throughout your entire life. It just can't.
Yeah.
And I think Republicans would agree with that, but they just change the rules when it comes to trans people because I don't think they think trans people are like a real thing.
No.
So,
isn't
stupid.
a member of the teachers union, but I got to admit,
Teachers union.
I've been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years, and
unlike Tim Scott,
education is a state and local function.
Panda Tim.
The state of Indiana had one of the very first school choice programs in the country, and when I was governor of the state of Indiana, we doubled it. And as to your question, Dana, let's be very, very clear. When the Linn-Mar Community Schools in Iowa had a policy where you had to have a permission slip from your parents to get a Tylenol, but you could get a gender transition plan without notifying your parents. I weighed in with a foundation. That's not bad policy. That's crazy. We're going to stand up for the rights of parents, and we're going to pass a federal ban on transgender,
couldn't get a gender transition without your parents. You can't.
Anywhere in the country.
Also, most kids
to protect our kids.
Does he mean a ban for everybody, or just
agenda.
under
We've
18?
got to empower parents at the state level with the ability to choose where their kids go to school, whether it's public, private, parochial, or homeschool. You empower parents, and our schools will straighten up and reflect our values and focus on the basics faster than you could possibly imagine.
Most transgender youth don't physically transition. It's mostly a social transition until you grow up. I don't want to say grow up, or until you become older, and then you go ahead and you make the decision to get these surgeries. Most people aren't doing it when they're younger, and the people who are doing it when they're younger, again, don't regret it when they're older.
Bottom surgery isn't happening.
No,
for people,
it's
simply not happening. And very, very few people will have some form of top surgery.
Yeah,
but that's it.
It's mostly a social transition.
Yeah, and that does help mental health. And to do anything to prevent the use of that social transition or help with the facilitation of a social transition will kill people. It will.
But you want it to be a free market, and right now they're monopolies. But this issue of China, I think, is really going to be fundamental. We have subcontracted out so much.
How did we
of
get
our
every time we tune out
to the CCP? We rely on them for a whole host of issues.
It's the only thing that Ronnie Boy has talked about.
We need to decouple all those important industries. We need to get that back in the United States. They are our top geopolitical adversary by a country mile. Xi Jinping's got huge ambitions, not only in the Asia Pacific, but as you mentioned earlier, in our region. But ultimately, we've got to beat them on the economy. And so that's what we'll do as President of the United States.
Governor Christie, I wanted to follow up on this because 22% of American workers fear their jobs will be lost to a robot. And you said in the past that the free market is the way to go. Would you retrain workers who lose a job to artificial intelligence, and to do what?
Learn to code.
What I think artificial intelligence offers us
learn to code
is an extraordinary opportunity to expand well beyond the productivity that we have now, and to have Americans be able to be involved in that revolution, Dana. You know, each time we have shown incredible innovation and progress in this country. What we've done with it is to expand all kinds of new, even unthought of opportunities for folks. Yes, we have to do retraining for folks who lose some of their jobs, and we should be doing that. And we should have more training available both at the county college level and the local level for people to be able to access it. So yes, I would be in favor of
learn
that.
to code.
But this is a much bigger issue than that. We can't be afraid of innovation. America has been the great innovator of this world over the last 250 years, a technological innovator, a manufacturing innovator, and a freedom and governmental innovator. And that's why America has to continue to stand strong in the world, pro-innovation, pro-progress. And I will tell you this, as President of the United States, what I will do is to make sure that every innovator in this country gets the government the hell off its back and out of its pocket so that it can innovate and bring great new inventions to our country that will make everybody's lives better.
Put everyone out of work.
Learn to code. Hell yeah.
TikTok is banned on government-issued devices because of its ties to the Chinese government. Yet you joined TikTok after dinner with boxer and influencer Jake Paul. Should the commander-in-chief be so easily persuaded by an influencer?
Jake
So the
Paul
answer
getting
is I have
mentioned
a
in a
radical
presidential
idea
debate
for
is
the Republican
crazy.
Party. We need to win elections. And part of how we win elections is reaching the next generation of young Americans.
Taking their vote away.
Yeah. So when I get into office, I've been very clear. Kids under the age of 16 should not be using addictive social media. We're only going to ever get to declaring independence from China, which I favor, if we actually win. So while the Democrats are running rampant, reaching the next generation 3-1, there's exactly one person in the Republican Party which talks a big game about reaching young people, and that's me. And let me level with all of you. I'm the new guy here, and so I know I have to earn your trust. What do you see? You see a young man who's in a bit of a hurry, maybe a little ambitious, bit of a know-it-all, it seems at times. I'm here to tell you, no, I don't know it all. I will listen. I will have the best people, the best and brightest in this country, whatever age they are, advising me.
Steve Bannon.
Will be probably many of the people on this stage included. That's how I built my companies. I want to be challenged. I want people who disagree with me. That's what makes America great, because we're not a perfect nation. We're founded on the pursuit of perfection. That is what makes America great. And that is why we will end it once we win this election.
I have to jump. I have to jump in here.
No, you don't. You don't. That's crazy.
He has to jump in there. This is infuriating because TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber for what you say. Because
she's trying to take jobs away from two hardworking Americans.
She's going in. TikTok situation. What they're doing is these 150 million people are on TikTok. That means they can get your contacts, they can get your financial information, they can get your emails, they can get text messages, they can get all of these things.
This is very important for our party. This is very important for our party, and I'm going to say
you've gone and you've helped China make medicines in China, not America. You're now wanting kids to go and get on the social media that's dangerous for all of us. You went and you were in business with the Chinese that gave Hunter Biden $5 million. We can't trust you. We can't trust you.
She's going in.
We can't have TikTok in our
I think
kids'
that
lives. We need to ban it.
She is going.
Yes, to jump in.
I think, excuse me.
No, guys, no, I have to.
You have 15 seconds, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Thank you.
Swami.
I think we would be better served as a Republican Party if we're not sitting here hurling personal insults and actually having
He's a liberal.
He's a liberal policy.
Everyone's a liberal.
Everyone say something nice about each other.
That is what actually makes our country strong. And I believe in these people. These are good people on the stage. They disagree, but let's have a legitimate disagreement. That's what I would say.
Stuart, can we get back to the question? The question is on technology.
Governor DeSantis, I'm going straight.
On this stage
Sir, we will have to cut your mic, and I don't want to do that. I don't. So, Governor DeSantis, let me go to you. Experts say President Putin has ordered assassinations across Europe, cheated on arms control treaties with the U.S., and seeks to work with China to force our decline. President Reagan believed that if you want to prevent a war, you better be prepared to fight one. Today, the Republican Party is at odds over aid to Ukraine. The price tag so far is $76 billion. But is it in our best interest to degrade Russia's military for less than 5% of what we pay annually on defense, especially when there are no U.S. soldiers in the fight?
It's in our interest to end this war, and that's what I will do as president. We are not going to have a blank check. We will not have U.S. troops, and we're going to make the Europeans do what they need to do. But they've sent money to pay bureaucrats' pensions and salaries and funding small businesses halfway around the world. Meanwhile, our own country is being invaded. We don't even have control of our own territory. We have got to defend the American people before we even worry about all these other things.
It's always the pivot to racism.
In Washington, D.C., and they don't care about the American people. They don't care about the fentanyl deaths. They don't care about the communities being overrun because of this border. They don't care about the Mexican drug cartels. So as Commander-in-Chief, I will defend this country's sovereignty.
But it's not a territorial dispute. It's never been a territorial dispute.
And 90% of the resources that we send over to Ukraine is guaranteed as a loan. It is not 90% of the money that we send over there is loan. Well, we can talk about this, but at the end of the day, 90% of the money that we send over there is actually in the form of a loan. It's not actually not be paid by Ukraine, it's paid by the NATO or NATO allies.
So I think it's a good topic.
I think it's a really good topic too.
Oh my God.
Let's debate the fact that our national vital interests is in degrading the Russian military.
Thanks, Haley.
By degrading the Russian military, we actually keep our homeland safer, we keep our troops at home, and we all understand Article 5 of NATO.
We have to level with the American people.
I thought you said something about waiting until you return to talk.
God damn!
So at the end of the day, I'm going to finish I'll be happy to
go ahead and
this.
I'll respond.
I'll look forward to this one right now. So at the end of the day, when you think about the fact that you want to keep American troops at home, attack on NATO territory would bring us and our troops in. By degrading the Russian military, we reduce, if not eliminate, an attack on NATO territory.
Finish that exchange. We have to level with the American people. We have to level with the American people on this issue. The reality is just because Putin is not Putin's an evil dictator does not mean that Ukraine is good. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties.
A win
that has
for Russia is a
that
win
is not
for
true.
China.
We're driving Russia.
Excuse me.
Get his dumb ass.
Excuse me, Nikki.
Let's go. You like China. That's why
you'll have your chance in just a moment. The hurling personal insults isn't helping. China is the real enemy, and we're driving Russia further into China's arms. We need a reasonable peace plan to end this, especially this
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Vivek, if you let Putin have Ukraine, that's a green light to China to take
He's in that mic.
Peace comes
biting Haley's flow.
Governor Christie.
Governor Christie.
The Communist Party of China is the real enemy.
Governor Christie. Governor Christie. President Biden's first 2 years have brought China, Russia, and Iran closer together. Are we focused too much on Ukraine and not enough on this threat from the new world order?
No, they're all connected, Stuart. They're all connected. The Chinese are paying for the Russian war in Ukraine. The Iranians are supplying more sophisticated weapons, and so are the North Koreans now as well, with the encouragement of the Chinese. The naivete on this stage from some of these folks is extraordinary. Look, I understand people want to go and talk to Putin. Guess what? So did George W. Bush. So did Barack Obama. So did Donald Trump. And so did Joe Biden when he said a small invasion wouldn't be so bad. I don't want to talk to Putin. Every one of them has been wrong. And the fact of the matter is, we need to say right now that the Chinese-Russian alliance is something we have to fight against, and we are not going to solve it by going over and cuddling up to Vladimir Putin. Look, Donald Trump said Vladimir Putin was brilliant and a great leader. This is the person who is murdering people in his own country, and now not having enough blood, he's now going to Ukraine to murder innocent civilians and kidnap 20,000 children. And let me tell you, if you think that's where it's going to stop, if we give him any of Ukraine, next will be Poland. This is a guy who said, wait one second,
He's a liberal.
This is a guy in 1991 who said that was the darkest moment in world history when the Soviet Union fell. Listen, everybody, he wants to put the old band back together, and only America can stop it. And when I'm president, we will.
Governor Burgum, he hasn't had a chance. I have a question I think you're going to really like, or at least you have experience in it. And we need to talk about America's farmers, because there is a foreign policy connection here. The U.S. and China are in this fierce economic competition. It's hurting American businesses, and there is blowback against American farmers because China then targets them in retaliation. How would you, as president, protect American farmers and ranchers from that kind of retaliation from a foreign government like China?
Well, first of all, we've got the best farmers and ranchers in the world right here in America. If they have a level playing field, they can outcompete anyone in the world. But this is part of the larger issue that we're talking about here, which is we're in a Cold War with China. The Biden administration won't admit that. But we're also in an economic war through what we're doing with agriculture and energy. And we're also in a war with them relative to cyber war. We get attacked every day in North Dakota, every state, every school district, our tribes, all being attacked every day by either China, Russia, Iran, or North Korea. And now we've got a Biden administration whose whole policy is appeasement. They're out there, creating the world, making it less safe. $6 billion they traded for 5 people. They've just now set a price on anyone's head who's a tourist from America, who's a student from America, for kidnapping. If you want more kidnapping, They're also helping Iran get to have more closer to nuclear weapon, which pushes all of the Middle East closer to China and Russia.
Corny.
The whole thing is absurd. And then, of course, we're going to give Ukraine to Russia, and then we're going to give Taiwan to China, and think that's a foreign policy. That will make our nation
God, I really wish he did not make the debate stage so I could hear someone cooler talk like Tim Scott.
Energy policy, because China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day. They're the largest importer in the world, and we've had 4 cabinet members from the Biden administration there this summer, and none of them talked about U.S. energy. The first one to go to each of those countries was Kerry to talk about the folly of the climate policy, which is making the world less stable. It's empowering dictators. It's not about climate change that we need worried about. It's about the Biden climate policies that are actually the existential threat to America's future.
What the fuck? How did he even get that?
Mexico's president called who supports sending U.S. military into the country, quote, scoundrels. Mexico is the United States' most important trade partner and border security. You say you will send special operations to attack the cartels in Mexico. So, this means
this is a fun
boots on the ground,
point.
drone strikes.
It means special operations. It's how we deal with our terrorists. And what you need to do is
drone strikes.
Drone strikes and boots on the ground.
If we lost 75,000 Americans last year,
disproportionate civilian casualties.
Mexico's not being a good partner if they're letting the cartels get away with what they're getting away with. What we will do is we will make sure that we send in our special operations, and we will take out the cartels, we'll take out their operations, we'll take out anything that's doing it. But we're going to go after China, because China is the one sending the fentanyl in the first place. And we will end all normal trade relations until China stops sending fentanyl. And then we'll do the special operations, and we'll get it from both sides. This is where President Trump went wrong. He focused on trade with China. He didn't focus on the fact that they were buying up our farmland. He didn't focus on the fact that they were killing Americans. He didn't focus on the fact that they were stealing $600 billion in intellectual property. He didn't focus on the fact that they put a spy base off our shores in Cuba. They didn't focus enough on the fact that all of our law enforcement drones in America are Chinese, and we've got all these little surveillance cells. We need to start focusing on what keeps Americans safe. That hasn't happened in a long time. As your president, I will make sure every American is safe, and we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
Drone striking Mexico would make immigration so much worse.
Exactly.
It would
drive the reason why immigration's bad anyway.
As president of the United States, you want to earn these votes. But the world's problems land in the Oval Office. During the presidential debates in the year 2000, neither Al Gore nor George W. Bush was asked about Al-Qaeda. Yet, just 1 year later, Al-Qaeda's attack on September 11th claimed nearly 3,000 lives.
Yo, what are they predicting?
And the farther we get from September 11th, the closer we are to September 10th. Senator Scott, you have no executive branch experience. What has prepared you to protect the nation from a major man-made national security crisis?
One of the things I've had the good fortune of doing is serving on committees in the United States Senate, like the Senate Armed Services Committee. I'm on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, also on the Finance Committee and the Banking Committee. Talk about addressing the issue of fentanyl.
George Soros?
I've written the legislation, passed it through the Banking Committee and the Senate that would freeze the assets and sanction the accounts of the Mexican cartels. There are weapons that we have within the arsenal that I was able to get past 23-0 in the polarizing Senate as it is. I've also understood without question the fact that if you look at the details before 9/11, there was information and intelligence that was available that suggested an attack was coming. Having intelligence partners with us is key to making sure that we prevent.
There were Israelis dancing on a rooftop.
Having that experience for the last 10 years is really important in getting the job done.
30 seconds to you, Mr. Pence.
Mr. Pence?
Well, I think you asked a question about executive experience, and I think it's vitally important. And I stand before you today as a candidate for president because I think this country's in a lot of trouble.
They did not put the makeup
on. You hear the fire on the stage tonight. You hear the fire in all of our voices.
It's
because Joe Biden has weakened this country at home
maybe I've
and
just
abroad.
Adjusted.
This is a time for those of us that have the experience.
I don't know what she means by
the tested experience and a commitment to the conservative agenda that Ronald Reagan brought forward in this party of a strong national defense, standing with our allies, standing up to our enemies, supporting limited government and traditional values, need to step forward.
Limited government.
Because frankly, our party does face a time for choosing, as they said at the top top
when
of
we
this
do
debate.
coups in Latin America.
Whether we're going to stand on
when
the
we fund death
foundation of the
squads, that's small
conservative agenda
government.
that Ronald Reagan poured, or whether we're going to follow the siren song of populism unmoored to conservative
They are all
principles.
the same guys.
I'm the most experienced,
they're
most
running out of
qualified,
steam.
and most consistent conservative in this field, and I'm ready to lead America at home and abroad on day
Time
one.
for choosing to go to a break. Ilya.
We need to go to a commercial break where Reagan built a coalition that lasted decades.
not mean to pause.
And any of these candidates do the same? We'll take that up when the debate
Building
continues.
a coalition. Oh, do y'all have fans? How many fans do y'all have? Let's go fan for fan right now.
Yeah, it seems like they're losing a lot of steam.
Yeah.
They're not as eager to jump the gun as they were before.
That section had potential, but I just don't think they were able to realize it.
Yeah, Nikki Haley did the same thing that she did the first time around, how she hammered Vivek on just about all of his entire take on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the war.
Yeah. I feel like they're all kind of just running through their highlights from last debate.
There is a fun juxtaposition between, like, we need to stop the war in Ukraine, either by not funding Ukraine anymore or by, the Russians being defeated. And at the same time, we need to invade Mexico. Like, that is a crazy dichotomy. I don't know how you can have both takes at the same time.
I just don't understand. And I thought that immigration was going to get brought up. Immigration was going to be a big issue. It was going to be a core issue. But I honestly didn't think it would be the issue.
Yeah, it's like every question has to do with immigration and China.
Everything either circles back to immigration and Fent or China and Fent also.
Yeah, I love how it's like they're talking so much about China, but it's none of like the real issues with China. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they're a major competitor and they're going to, defeat the United States, but it's none of like the humanitarian crisis.
It's more just, what is it? Xenophobia?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And in a funny way, they'd probably agree with China on the CCP stance on like LGBTQ rights and unions. They'd probably agree with China on that. Next Hiddo episode, you guys should talk about the health insurance stuff that Nikki was talking about. I need Hiddo to prove facts on that. Yeah, I wasn't sure what she was going on about other than trying to defend privatized health insurance because as we talked about last break, they can't blame anything on rich people. They just can't do it. It's always got to be the consumer or some like nebulous other that they can blame it on.
I agree. Alexia said, this is insanely boring. It's ironic because to the general public, all they do is focus on culture war. But for these debates, it's like basic policy. Honestly, I wouldn't even say it's basic policy. It's like, it's a weird limbo. Just somewhere in between policy and culture war. I do want to say that they're focusing on immigration policy, but it's all boiling down to fucking invade Mexico.
Yeah. And as Mr. Chaplinsky just put in the chat, their solutions will cause more people to try to come to the border and cross illegally.
Yeah.
Because if we start drone striking in Mexico, the country just south of us, you think people aren't going to try to move north?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Of course, if they start seeing bombs from the United States, they're going to go to the country that isn't getting bombed by the United States.
Yeah, Sarah, I also can't get over Pence saying he's been sleeping with a teacher for 38 years instead of saying married. That's wild. It's because Pence a dog.
Pence knows.
He's got that dog in it.
He knows his competition.
Exactly.
He knows he's near
his
Tim Scott. Yeah. He knows Tim Scott's on stage. He knows that subtle dig will get under Tim Scott's skin and piss him off.
Maybe that's why he was quiet. Maybe that's why he got quiet. He retreated into himself.
Trump era shirt is fire. You can get one headintheoffice.com.
That's right.
They're on sale.
That's right.
Well, not on sale. They're for sale. You can buy one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, invading Mexico is crazy. 12-point Mexico inflation plan. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't think she's like telling the truth though. I don't think if Nikki Haley won, I don't think it would be anything other than a, dare I say, bog standard Republican administration.
I don't think any of them actually want to invade Mexico except for like Pence.
Maybe Vivek.
Pence, Vivek, and maybe Ron.
Vivek seems to have a deep hatred for immigrants.
That's true.
That aren't himself
That's true.
or his parents.
Yeah. Maybe he's just, oh, goodness gracious.
To be fair, they did bring up invade Mexico the first debate, but the first debate was much more culture war issues than this one has been. This has been all immigration and economics, basically.
But the economics, everything they've talked about economics has meant nothing.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's never going to mean anything.
Yeah.
It's Republicans.
How silly.
Yeah.
What a silly goof of time. Maybe they'll pick it up in the fourth quarter.
Maybe. This is the last section of the debate.
Yeah.
We'll get some closing statements. Maybe we'll get a Homelander smile.
Oh, bro's
Here we
back
go.
in it.
Let me turn on the sound. Hang on.
We're here in California, where gas is nearing $6 a gallon.
Let's go.
Oil is close to $100 a barrel again. You say, drill, baby, drill. But the courts won't let you. Mr. Ramaswamy, how would you bring down prices without immediate drilling?
Well, look, I think that we do have to run through the courts and get through that administrative state to make sure we're using the natural resources here at home. But here's the other thing that we can do.
We already do that, by the way.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
How is that not drilling?
It addresses the national debt as well as brings down prices. Put people back to work. We are using taxpayer money to pay people more to stay at home than to go to work.
This isn't happening.
That
Lowest
contributes to
unemployment rate.
supply chain
How does
crisis.
this relate to fucking oil?
That's the easiest way to unlock this economy. And here's the other thing. We have to put the Federal Reserve back in its place. This is an agency that has gone rogue. So in January 2026, when I have the opportunity as our next commander-in-chief, we will have a new chairman of the Federal Reserve who places priority on dollar stability, and then most importantly, send packing 75% of the administrative state, reduce the federal employee headcount by 75%, rescind 50% of unconstitutional
Nobody likes it when you just hit the talking points.
No, it's boring.
It's not good, especially because these talking points, they're so manufactured. There's no pizzazz.
The economy. That's how we revive the integrity of a three-branch constitutional republic.
I don't like the cut of his jib.
President, your response, please.
I think one of the signature accomplishments of our administration was in just a few short years, we achieved
a few short years,
energy independence. We became a net exporter of energy for the
here we
first
go
time
again.
in 70
Energy
years.
independence.
Energy independence is a fucking lie.
But on
We've
day
talked about
one,
it so many
Joe
different
Biden
times.
declared a
We
war
were
on
never
energy, which was no
self-sufficient.
surprise, because
Energy
when Joe Biden
independence,
ran for
all it means
president,
is you're
he said he was
exporting more
going
than
to
you're
end
importing. But
fossil
OPEC is so
fuels.
fucking complicated.
They've
It
been
doesn't
working
fucking
overtime
matter.
to do that
We are
ever
still
since.
taking in crazy amounts of
President of
oil
the
from,
United
what is it,
States.
Canada and
We're gonna
Russia
open up
at the
federal
time
lands.
to be
We're
able to
gonna
sustain what we have going on. That's the only reason we were able to do it. We were not independent. We could not be self-sufficient.
And I have a plan that actually would not only reclaim energy independence, but in 2006, America lost our position as the leading energy producer on Earth. I believe in the next 10 years, with the right policies and experienced leadership in the White House, we can reclaim our role as the leading energy producer on Earth, and that'll grow the American economy for generations to come.
Governor Haley, reaction to that, please.
The only person who's leading an energy state that I answered the
Bro,
energy.
Doug.
Governor Haley.
You know, the first thing I'll say is what I saw at the United Nations is energy security is national security. We need a president that understands we have to partner with our producers and make sure that we have their backs. What you don't need is a president who is against energy independence. Ron Desantis is against fracking. He's against drilling.
Get his dumbass.
Against,
Okay.
You did it. He always talks about what happens on day one. You better watch out, because what happens on day two is when you're in trouble. Day two in Florida, you banned fracking, you banned offshore drilling, you did it on federal lands, and you took green subsidies that you didn't have to take.
Looks like American Psycho.
30 seconds.
Yeah. I just did a plan out in West Texas for American energy dominance. We're going to choose Midland over Moscow. We're going to choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs, and we're going to choose Bakken over Beijing. And we are going to lower your gas prices. We are going to get that job done because it's important for our national security. It's important for jobs, and that's one of the best ways to drive down inflation.
Governor DeSantis. Governor DeSantis, this question is for you.
This is ridiculous. She's confronting me on my policies.
You banned it before they voted.
No, it's not true.
You banned it before they voted, and not only that, fracking wasn't. They didn't vote on fracking. She's just totally wrong.
Get his dumbass.
That's what we did.
Get his dumbass.
Onshore, we do it in Florida.
I actually don't know about this.
I don't either.
Maybe West Texas, but we do it.
I'll trust her because it goes against my enemy, though.
And let's just get real here. My plan will get the job done.
Donovan, let me fact check on that.
And that's what's going to happen.
And the voters didn't even vote on fracking, and you banned
We are
fracking.
moving on with this question for Governor DeSantis. Governor, excuse me.
Doug is still trying to get in there.
Respect each other's time.
Bro is yapping.
I'm ready, Stuart.
Governor DeSantis, this is your question. The Biden administration is hell-bent on student loan forgiveness.
Oh, this is what I wanted to hear.
You say colleges should be on the hook when graduates cannot pay their debt. How does that address the cost of college? The cost of college itself?
Because the colleges are going to have to make a decision. Do we expand the gender studies department, knowing some of those graduates may not have great learning opportunities? No, they're going to focus on the things that really matter.
Fine opportunities
they're going to make different
after
choices.
college.
They're going to try to graduate people in 4 years. I also just want to come back to something Dana asked last segment about 9/11, because I was just at the 9/11 memorial with the families. My wife and I
Back when I was a
very
jag-off.
touching to be there, and it
Back when I
affected
was
my
jagging
life
off.
because I ended up joining the military as a result of that. I had been a blue-collar kid, minimum wage in Dunedin, Florida. I ended up getting through Yale and Harvard Law School and somehow came out more conservative than when I went in, and that is not easy to do.
Yeah,
Had a lot of
because they're
opportunities
not,
to make money,
they're not
but I wanted
liberal
to serve, and I'll never
indoctrination
forget
camps. There's
coming
so
back on
many
the plane
fucking
from Iraq,
conservatives at these high-end
landing in
institutions.
Coronado,
They love to
California,
act
North
like they're the
Island,
odd ones
and
out,
feeling
when
that breeze
all
off
of them
Pacific
come
Ocean,
from
saying, you
Harvard
know
Law.
what?
All of them
I'm
come from
lucky to have
Yale.
been born in
Jesus
America,
Christ, bro.
and I
What,
think
Ted
being
Cruz,
able to
Ben
serve,
Shapiro,
I'll be
this
the first
idiot?
president elected since 1988 who's actually served overseas in a war. I think that's going to help me as commander-in-chief to know how you see these issues and understand that there are real lives at stake for people that wear the uniform.
And we know that Governor Haley's husband is serving right now as well, and we thank him for that.
We know that
Senator
you're
Scott, the
serving.
national
did it
debt
for
has
her.
nearly doubled in your time in
That's
office.
crazy.
The approval rate for Congress is at a mere 19%. If this were a business, you'd probably all be fired in Washington, but you're here tonight looking for a promotion. In 2013, Governor Haley
Lazy liberal.
hired you for the Senate. I'd like you to tell her why you should be promoted to CEO of the nation instead of her.
Jesus Christ.
Certainly. One of the things I'd say is if you look at our national debt of $33 trillion, I would love to have the opportunity to have this country pass a balanced budget amendment. That would constrain the spending in Washington in the same fashion that it does in every state in our nation, number one. Number two, if you want to actually reduce our national debt, you have to grow our economy. In order to grow our economy, you need to create about 10 million jobs to grow our economy at 5%. You can do that in three specific sectors. Number one, the energy sector. We could create between 3 and 3.5 million jobs if we unleashed all
Green
of
energy.
our energy resources. America is we're the richest country if you combine coal, gas, and oil. Why not unleash all of our resources? Number two, we've lost 100,000 factories. 100,000 factories in the last 25 years.
Bro,
if
call
we
it what it
continued
is.
on my Made in
Capital
America
flight.
plan, we could bring jobs back to America in a similar fashion that we did when I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
He literally
actually
did the
lowered
offshoring.
corporate tax from 35% to 21%.
It's his fault.
Reshored or repatriated $1.7 trillion. We brought the unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians to the lowest level in the history of the country.
How can he claim responsibility for that? Come on.
For women.
Governor Haley, would you think you would deserve the
first of all,
promotion over
I think,
him?
look, I appreciate Tim. We've known
Chill
each
with
other
the
a long
analogy.
time.
It's not-
But he's been there 12 years, and he hasn't done any of that. He hasn't. They've only
Gas?
given 4 budgets on time in 40 years. He was part of that. He increased the national debt. He voted for the spending. He has made sure that the borders are open. And they
Oh my God, she's controlling the
She's
debate.
dogging him. Where have you been? Where have you been, Tim?
I voted on most of those things.
We've waited.
Have you been?
Nothing has happened.
Here's what you've done.
Not in Congress, not in the bedroom.
Let me finish
All these guys have said
Here's the
things,
fact.
and I appreciate a lot of the things they're saying.
Nikki
I'm the
Haley-
only one up here who's gotten in the big fights and has delivered big victories for the people of Florida, and that's what it's all
Man,
about.
what? Paid
you can
actors.
always talk, but when it gets hot in there, when they're shooting arrows at you, are you going to be stand up for parents' rights, to keep the state free? Are you going to be able to do all those things? And in the state of Florida, because of our success, the Democratic Party lies in ruins. We have won the big fights. We have turned our state
gerrymandered.
into a Republican state. People respond to leadership. I've done it while others have talked about it.
We actually have a CEO.
I backed down on my Disney lawsuit.
If I may just briefly interject here. We need a
30
zero-based budgeting. That's the way businesses are actually
Tax
run.
cuts.
Start with 0 as the baseline for the budget, and then see what's actually necessary. There isn't
You
a
literally
blue
can't
state
do that.
or a red state in this union.
We have things called entitlements. You have to pay the things like Social Security. You have to pay that out. You don't get to start at zero.
I think we need a CEO in the White House to get that done.
Governor Burgum runs a state that way. Yes, go ahead.
You didn't ask the only guy that's been in tech. You have energy questions. You don't ask anything. But I'm just going to say right now, when you say nobody else has done it, the energy plans that have all been announced in the last month by these other folks on stage, we're already doing it in North Dakota. The border plans.
Oh, he's in North Dakota? Man, the Dakota's got some shit governors. That's crazy. Christie and this guy?
Double trouble.
Trying to stop transnational criminal organizations from inflicting the invasion and the mass casualties in our state. And on the energy policy, we're already doing it. It's not saying when nobody else done the big fights. North Dakota was leading the charge. We won the battle to get the Biden administration, who was ignoring the law. They were the first administration since Truman that wasn't holding the quarterly required lease sales, and we won that in federal court. Lotus, we won that in federal court. We're fighting the Biden administration on 20 fronts. To say that nobody's fighting the big fights, just look at the record of what we're doing right now. Energy, economy, national security. We've been talking about it since day one, and now finally, good, we're having the conversation about it. But we've got the answer in North Dakota.
Governor Burgum, let's talk
the student loans.
Bro, there's no answers in North Dakota.
Big government keeps getting bigger. 1/5 of all new jobs this year have been created by the government. Governor Burgum, you say you want to shrink the size
How we got out of the Great Depression.
But it has been a century since any president has done that. Why would you be any different?
Well, because we've done it in North Dakota.
Man.
When I took office, we shrunk the state budget general fund by 27% in the first 4 months I was office, and all the trains still running on time. Why? Because you had a business leader that was actually there. Inside of every government job, there's 10 or 20% of mind-numbing, soul-sucking work that even the state and federal employees don't want to do, and you can engineer that work out of the job. That would free up right there 20% of 2 million civilian employees. And by the way, we've got 10 million jobs
out of all the
open.
people on stage who I thought would drop something like that, I wasn't expecting Doug Burgum.
The Mussolini line?
It's totally possible to do it if you have somebody that understands, because having worked in technology for 30 years.
If you guys didn't catch that, he said that he kept the trains running on time, which is like a Mussolini fascism line. Back when they said, like, I just want the trains to run on time, like implying that you don't care what happens to the workers or anybody else involved.
Minds. This election could come down to less than 50,000 votes in 3 states. Abortion was on the ballot in 6 states in 2022. Republicans lost all of them.
Hell yeah.
Next year, abortion will likely be on the ballot in Arizona.
He's awful.
That is a must-win state. Governor DeSantis, how are you going to win over independent, pro-choice voters in Arizona?
Same way we did in Florida. We won the greatest Republican victory in a governor's race in the history of the state, over 1.5 million votes. We were winning places like Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach, that nobody thought was possible because we were leading with purpose and conviction. I reject this idea that pro-lifers are to blame for midterm defeats. I think there's other reasons for that.
It's objectively true.
The former president, he's missing in action tonight. He's had a lot to say about that. He should be here explaining his comments to try to say that pro-life protections are somehow a terrible thing. I want him to look into the eyes and tell people who've been fighting this fight for a long time. My wife and I earlier today were at the gravesite of President and Mrs. Reagan, and I noticed that there was a quote where it says, every single person has purpose and worth. We're better off when everybody counts. And I think we should stand for what we believe in. I think we should hold the Democrats accountable for their extremism, supporting abortion all the way up until the moment of birth. That is infanticide, and that is wrong.
Thank you so much. After some sleep, me in Brownsville, Tennessee in the morning. A state that abortion won on the ballot. Then heading to North Carolina, looking forward to Sunday Pod.
Can do that in Arizona if this referendum is on the ballot there?
Yeah, because I did it in New Jersey, Dana.
Then why are all these other states losing?
Well, because they don't have leaders in those states who are leading the fight the way it should be led. And in fact, look, I was a governor here of the only blue state that's represented up here. This is where the fight is really tough for Republicans, and those are the states that we're going to have to try to win if we're going to win the White House back.
Abortion is legal throughout pregnancy in New Jersey. There's no ban or limit on abortion in New Jersey based on how far along you are in pregnancy.
Maybe it was overturned when he was governor or something. Maybe that's newer.
Kept sending it to me, and I kept saying no because I believe in life, but I also believe in states' rights. And I think we fought hard against Roe versus Wade for decades to say that states should make these decisions. So we're going to have those fights in the states. But what you need is a leader who can talk to people and make them understand that if you're pro-life, you have to be pro-life for the entire life, not just the 9 months in the womb.
Oh?
And we talked a lot about
Liberal
fentanyl tonight, and we haven't spoken one moment about treatment. But we need to make sure that for the drug-addicted 16-year-old on the floor of the county lockup, her life is precious too. And we need to be providing treatment to cure this as a disease that it is. If you're pro-life, you got to be pro-life for the entire life. We start talking like that, they're going to do what I did in the blue state, which was get reelected with 61% of the vote and won 70% of independents and 51% of Latinos because I told them the truth from my heart.
I don't think he's like.
But abortion didn't get banned.
He's not right for that. But I guess he's not wrong in the sense that, yeah, that's a better message than what conservatives are doing now. If I'm thinking from the perspective of someone in the Heritage Foundation.
A rational actor.
Exactly. That's a better message to give as a conservative than the other ones, but they'll never go for it.
Well, I promise you
It's still wrong.
Continue to build
Don't get me
bridges to
wrong.
every community in this country. And I'm incredibly proud of that.
Pro-life until the kids is
tax
trans,
cut
of
and
course.
tax reform bill. I worked on Capitol Hill to help get that bill passed into law. The largest tax cut in American history. We saw
Tax cut and tax reform.
literally the lowest unemployment ever recorded for Hispanic Americans, the lowest unemployment ever recorded for African Americans, 50-year low for women. So I think the President of the United States needs to be a champion for the American dream for every American. It begins with the unborn and the aged and the infirm, and it begins with every ethnic group in this country. And I promise you, if I'm President of the United States, I'll be a champion. I'll be a champion for the American dream, for Hispanic Americans, and for every American. So help me God.
Why do they only ask one person the question?
There's no doubt that if you lead by example, it's the best way to get the job done. If you look at my office in the Senate, my chief of staff is the only Hispanic female chief of staff in the Senate. I hired her because she's the best, highest qualified person we have. What we need are leaders who lead by example. And I will simply say, I would love to finish my conversation with Nikki as it relates to the job that needs to get done. Nikki offered a 10% gas tax increase in South Carolina. Talk about someone who has never seen a federal dollar she doesn't like.
Oh, she's excited.
10 cents on this gallon in South Carolina. As the UN ambassador, you literally put $50,000
she said, "Shut up, dumbass."
in a $15 million subsidized location. Next.
You got bad information. First of all, I fought the gas tax in South Carolina multiple times against the establishment.
Just go to YouTube.
Against the establishment.
Just go to
and
YouTube
you want to know what that 10 cent was? When they wouldn't pass the gas tax, the establishment, the companies wanted me to do it so much that I said the only way I will pass it if you will give us three.
All you have to do is go watch Nikki Haley on YouTube.
If you will give me 3 times the deduction in income tax, then I will look at your gas tax.
So you said yes,
didn't happen. Secondly,
I don't know. I don't think that's a winning message from Haley. He already got her ass. He already got her ass.
Do your homework, Tim, because Obama bought those curtains.
Did you send them back?
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
It's the State Department.
Did you send them back?
Did you send them back? You're the one that works in Congress.
Oh my gosh. You hung them on your curtains.
They were there before I even showed up at the residence. You are scrapping. You are scrapping.
I'm not scrapping.
You know I fought taxes.
Here's the fact, though.
I cut taxes.
Ron, what do you?
You wanted a gas tax increase, and then you
What's that smile, bro? I hate him.
We're about to take a commercial break.
Oh, one more break?
More of the second Republican debate live from the
Why are we taking a break so close to the end?
Just a few
Oh,
moments.
because we're coming back for closing statements. That's really how we're gonna end the debate portion of the debate.
That's crazy. I love the viciousness. I eat it up.
It's good. Yeah, I wish there was more of that, frankly.
I feel like, I don't know if Nikki Haley has been lying about her record at all, because I don't know a lot of what she did as governor. It could be the case that she is just lying and saying, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna lie, just go for it, right?
That's why I don't think she's lying.
Yeah.
I really don't. I could totally see her
that
fighting.
answer wasn't convincing.
Yeah, it's just he already got your ass. He already got you when he said you raised taxes. It's so hard to pivot away from I did raise taxes here. As soon as you admit that you raised taxes, I feel like you're done.
Yeah, Donovan just put in the chat, Haley supported a 10-cent gas tax until 2015, at which point she wanted to eliminate it.
Yeah.
No, she endorsed the elimination of the federal gas tax. I see. Okay.
Okay, but it's man, I don't know. Fact blast the way he's spinning these fact checks. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Donovan, you've been doing great. Keep it up.
8 squares left. 2 bingos. That's what we like to see.
2 bingos is crazy. And that was all you guys.
Yeah.
That was all you guys. And again, thanks for being here. We love you.
Man, I don't know. I feel like Tim has been the most standout performer of this debate.
Yeah, Tim Scott's been going in, and he's felt a lot less, what's the word? Stiff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he has like human reactions. He's like, well, I don't know. It seems like you did it.
Hang the curtains up.
Yeah. Yeah. You hung it up on your curtains.
You hung it up on your curtains. You hung your curtains
Like
on your
that,
curtains.
that's the kind of dumb shit I'd say to a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like Tim is throwing punches. Nikki Haley's been doing well too, except for that end part just there.
Yeah.
And Ron DeSantis has spoke more than I thought he would. He came out against Trump one time, which is the first time, right?
Yeah.
More times than ever.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know anyone else that's really like stood out. Chris Christie certainly not. Doug Burgum's like, I just have to jump in. It doesn't work.
You have to. No, you have to. No, I'm the tech. No.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Everyone has kind of sucked across the board, but I guess Tim, at least when he gets into his rants, it doesn't sound like he's reading off a teleprompter like Vivek and Ron and everyone else does. It doesn't sound like he's just reciting talking points he wrote on his hand.
Right.
And I guess that's all I can really ask for at this point. Holy shit.
Yeah, I do wonder if this debate just has less viewership overall. Because if Hito number's down, every number's got to be down. You
Absolutely. That's
But
what's going on.
I'm betting that the first debate had a lot more viewership because it was in the tail end of the summer, so people were still either on vacations or not working as much. There's Sean Hannity on the screen for some reason.
My God. I think we go live. He's right up after this.
The first one is always like the biggest one, right?
Yeah,
because it's the first one. Everyone's excited for it. And people that may have went to the first one or watched the first one, maybe they thought Trump was going to show up, but he obviously didn't. And they know he's not going to show up now, so they have no reason to watch.
I guess it's like they kind of got the gist of what happened with this one.
Yeah.
Except this one was weirdly less culture war.
Less culture war, but more like vicious fighting between the candidates.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It still blows my mind how these Fox Business people are asking the right questions and they're framing them in the right way.
Oh yeah, no follow-ups.
Then they dodge the question. They'll say anything and they refuse to follow up and get them on their fucking flakiness and their cowardice.
The student debt question didn't even get an answer. Ron DeSantis just said some shit about like, oh well, they'll have to make sure students make it in 4 years and not have gender studies anymore.
What was it? Was it law enforcement where I look at the chat for 2 seconds and all of a sudden Nikki's talking about China?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah, we say one thing and it's like China's actually destroying the United States and there's an invasion on the southern border.
Yeah.
And they're both related.
We are in a Cold War with every country.
The Doug Burgum fascism line was crazy though.
That was crazy.
He said, I got the trains to run on time.
That.
He said, I'm just like Mussolini.
the Logan Paul mention blew me away.
Yeah, that was good.
Absolutely blew me away and knocked my socks off.
The juxtaposition between I'm trying to appeal to young voters and also I advocate for a policy that would take the right to vote away from young voters is crazy.
Yeah.
Because that's what Vivek is doing. He's saying young voters shouldn't be able to vote unless they take a literacy test. And I'm appealing to young voters through Jake Paul being young, whatever else. It's crazy.
And also, it's like, I feel like they just don't understand, because we have to view this whole debate in the context of the audience. This one, especially more than the last one, I think, because again, it's the second debate. Viewership is going to be down. These are Republican primary voters and us and you all that are watching this debate. They're people who intend to vote in the primary and actually trying to do this. So it does have to be the demon competition, and people like Haley and Christie who are trying to come off as moderates and successfully kind of doing that throughout the last two. I don't think it's going to get them anywhere.
Yeah.
Have indicated that you're dropping out. So, which one of you on stage tonight should be voted off the island?
Oh, damn, you missed this
Please
session.
use your marker to write your choice on the notepad in front of you. 15 seconds, starting now. Of the people on the stage, who should be...
I'll
I'm
decline
absolutely
to do that with all
serious.
due respect. I mean, we're here, like, we're happy to debate.
Fucking coward.
That's
Come
disrespectful
on.
to my fellow competitors.
Nobody wants to
Let's
participate.
do some questions.
Nah, that's bullshit, bruh.
He saved him twice now.
Comfort blood.
Let me ask you this.
I would DeSantis.
Let me ask you
Ron.
something. Then if you won't answer that question, let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
What is your mathematical path,
Yes.
Governor DeSantis, in order to try to beat President Trump, who has a commanding and enduring lead in this race?
So Polls don't elect presidents. Voters elect presidents. And we're going to take the case of the people in these early states. We're going to do the state-by-state direction. And why? Because as Reagan said in his day, this is our time for choosing. We are not getting a mulligan on the 2024 election. Republicans have lost 3 straight elections in a row. We were supposed to have a red wave with inflation at 9%. It crashed and burned. Not in Florida, it didn't. We delivered it in Florida. And so we've got to choose right. We've got to win. And we need somebody that's going to be able to serve 2 terms. So in January of 2023, they'll be able to address the nation saying, we turned the economy around, we secured the border, and we fended off the threat from communist China. As your president, I will get
January of 2023?
I believe
Bro's living in the past.
I didn't catch that one.
Governor Christie, I believe, excuse me, Governor Christie,
Shut the fuck up.
did see you write something on the card.
No, but I'll certainly tell you.
Ron, Vivek.
Look, I think I've been the only one on this stage who's been clear about this.
You say Trump.
I vote Donald Trump off the island right now. And the reason I vote him off the island,
any of the people on the stage,
you know what? Every person on this stage has shown the respect for Republican voters to come here to express their views honestly, candidly, and directly, and to take your questions honestly. I have respect for every man and woman on this stage because they've done it. Vivek, put your hand down for a second, would you? I still got time, dude. So chill out. Here, look. This guy has not only divided our party, he's divided families all over this country.
Come on.
No other Republican president.
He's a liberal.
Everyone else has.
No other president.
At Thanksgiving dinner or at a birthday party and can't have a conversation anymore if they disagree with Donald Trump.
That's not
he
new.
needs to be voted off the island and he needs to be taken out of this process.
Can we get Vivek 15 seconds? Vivek.
Christie.
Look, I
He's
have a
gone.
different view on this. I think Trump was an excellent president, but the America First agenda does not belong to one man. It does not belong to Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you.
Oh my God.
The people of this country.
Cornball,
and the
corny.
question is, who's going to unite this country and take the America First agenda to the next level? When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, we did not just hunger for a single man. We hungered for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. So yes, I will respect Donald Trump and his legacy because it's the right thing to do. But we will unite this country to take the America First agenda
That's why.
to the
That's
next
why he's
level,
going.
and that will take a different generation.
Ding, ding, ding.
Does it? I repeat.
Wait, that's it?
Does it? For the second
Yo,
they let him get the last word.
For the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
Thank you to all the candidates.
I gotta know the over-under on how much Ron talked. Oh my God, Chris. Thank you. Reminder to everyone that Vivek is a millennial. That's crazy.
Wait, that's not. They just let him get the last word. I thought that they were going to give everyone closing statements.
I don't understand why they didn't.
Also, I know this has been pointed out by other people, but I can't help but bring it up now. The whole America First thing, I feel like comes from the America First Committee, which was a group of Nazis in the United States who opposed the United States entering World War II to oppose Nazi Germany. The America First Committee, and now they have the America First Agenda. I mean, come on, right?
There's a clear through line.
There's an ideological trend.
There's a clear through line. Yeah, it just really went out with a whimper.
Yeah.
I can't believe they just ended it like that.
It was chaotic, but not in like a fun content way. It was like exhaustingly chaotic.
Yeah,
you know
instead of everyone edging to Vivek, they edged us.
Yeah.
Like those are my closing statements.
Yeah, why didn't we get a closing statement?
Oh my gosh.
Well,
bro, phone us into this Fox News studio right now.
Yeah, it looks like that's it for the Republican debate. Do we got any final thoughts in chat? Who do you guys think won? If you had to vote on a winner, who do you guys think won? Because
standout performance.
I don't know who I would put my money on. You know what I mean? Like I don't know who I would think. Like Nikki Haley had a good performance, but can you call her the winner? Vivek did not perform to the same degree that he did last time with this kind of standout performance.
He didn't have any moments.
No.
There was nothing that Vivek said that made me think, if I was a Republican, yeah, I'd probably think that's gas.
Right.
Everything he said just kind of sucked, or it was a retread of what he said last time. And anytime, like bar for bar, too.
Yeah.
I got to see the over-under on how much Ron talked. Because I don't think it hit 10 minutes.
No. Ron, I think Ron talked more than before. I fucking hate that he bailed them out on that voting off the island
I wanted
question.
that so bad.
God damn,
That's the only thing I've wanted. I wanted that I wanted that so bad that it felt like I never wanted anything in my entire life.
For a moment, I had everything I wanted in the palm of my hand.
And Ron took it away, snatched it right out of me. Oh my God.
Yeah, I think Trump's probably the biggest winner here, especially because Chris Christie, who's someone who's like just running against Trump, like that's his thing.
Yeah,
he's running against Donald Trump. You would think that he would have an argument for himself as well, but he never really presents one. It's just Donald Trump has split up families, which, like, yeah, I fucking guess, but that's nothing new in politics. In the Republican Party right now, aside from Donald Trump, splits up families.
And it's also the people who are watching this debate are the people that you are trying to appeal to in the Republican primary coming up are the people who just think that the people who left their family are dumb.
Yeah.
The people who think like, oh yeah, you're just a stupid shit lib. Like, I don't need you around anyway.
Yeah, what a wild ride. It looks like nobody in chat is sure who won this debate. I know Doug Burgum lost. That's for sure.
Doug tried his hardest to fucking get in on every conversation, and they just ignored him. I'm so sad that he was there.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall specific moments that we can kind of break down, because there was a whole lot of just like lies that they threw in there, of course.
You think DeSantis shot himself in the foot by attacking Trump harder? I honestly think that's the lane that he's been needing to take this whole time. Like he needed to pick a side, really. And the dick rider role is firmly occupied by Vivek. I don't think anyone can take that from him. So he really needs to hammer home the anti-Trump without being corny Christie.
Pledge to keep America neutral in World War I. Yeah, but I'm guessing the America First Committee was just like taken from that, right? The 1930s it must have been.
Tim did solid. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Either way, there's all kinds of other ways that Republicans are so similar to Nazis anyway, right?
Yeah. There was no Bible verse, and I'm kind of upset about that.
Was there really no Bible verse?
I don't think there was. I think
That's a crazy
the Bible was invoked, but I don't think there was a verse that came out.
Yeah. Vivek was a disappointment. He didn't go as hard as he could. And I think a lot of them were prepared for him to go just as hard as he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think people figured out what they wanted to say to him. Tim Scott and Nikki Haley especially knew how they wanted to respond. Christie didn't get booed for 5 minutes like he did last time. I don't know. The audience was surprisingly tame, right?
Yeah. Because Ron DeSantis did better this time than he did last time. I think that the polls are going to go the same in that.
Yes.
Yeah. The polls of the people who watched are going to say that Ron won the debate.
Right.
And honestly, I guess with all the shit that happened, all things considered, yeah, I guess Ron did win the debate. He didn't have any moments that made him look like a dumbass.
Yeah,
like
not too many.
He didn't get corrected. Like no one really went after him.
Yeah, Nikki Haley went after him for a little bit, but they kind of just swept that away.
They kind of just let him move on.
Yeah.
They didn't let other people move on.
They didn't hold him to account or anything.
Ron finally took the lane, but the car is in neutral. Yeah. I don't know. It feels like he just started today. He finally decided today that he was going to go after Trump. He posted something on his Twitter like 3 hours before the debate.
Yeah.
Like, Trump does this, Trump does that.
Yeah, and I saw that there was some cope coming out of the Daily Wire saying like, oh, well, this time in 2008, the front runner was some person. I don't even remember who it was, right? It wasn't the person who it wasn't John McCain, right, in 2000, at the same time for the 2008 election. But I think that the electoral field and the political climate is just so wildly different than it was back then that you can't even compare it. No. I mean, Donald Trump is far and away the front runner. And he has been since even before the election season kicked off.
And his lead has not budged. If anything, hasn't it grown a little bit?
Yes. Yeah, he's in the 70s now consistently.
Really?
Yes, he's in the 70s.
Last time we did the debate watch, it was 60s.
60s, yeah.
And then he dropped down a little bit like the week after the debate. And now he's just back up higher.
Yeah, he's higher than he was before.
There's no stopping him.
DeSantis proving he doesn't know how to do math. said that he still has a chance to win. Like, what are we talking about? Like, yeah, of course, polls don't win elections, but polls tell you how people are going to vote in elections. God, and polls have been getting better, as much as we say that you can't entirely trust them.
Dude, that was disappointing.
Yeah, it was a tough watch. It was
disappointing. But now I'm even more geeked for the gruesome Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis.
That's
going to
be
so
crazy.
Bad because it's just 1v1, baby, straight up, shot for shot, going at it, moderated debate. I hope that one's 2
moderated
hours.
by Sean Hannity.
Really?
Yeah.
That's going to be so fucking sick, dude. I cannot
It's a
wait,
2v1,
frankly.
really.
Honestly, yeah, it's a 2v1, and Gavin's going to come out punching.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, but Ron can't hide away in that one.
Nope.
And that's what I'm most excited to see. And I think that's why they're doing it. And they're doing it after the last GOP primary debate, right?
I don't know if it's going to be the last one, but the third one I think is November 8th. And the Newsom
They're going to have 4 of them?
November 3rd. Or November 30th, sorry. I don't know how many they're going to have.
More than 3. More than 2 is sounding like a stretch at this point.
Frankly. Let's see. So if they have their next one on November 8th, there's still 2 months, 3 months before the first election day starts.
Yeah.
So they could squeeze in like another one after that, a 4th.
Man, there's no way. Okay, so realistically, Doug does not make the next one. They raised the...
He finds a way.
I guess. They raised the... whatever it's called, the things you need to do to get into this one, right?
Requirements, yeah.
Realistically, Doug does not make it, or life finds a way. Maybe, I guess he's like a virus that just won't
Doug Burgum
go away.
Surge, the Burgum Surge.
The Burgum Surge is crazy. Maybe Doug's there. Maybe Christie gets kicked off. Maybe Tim Scott gets kicked off. We have like Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Vivek up there.
Yeah.
Pence
I think
would get kicked off before Christie or Tim, most likely.
Oh,
thank you so much, Alexia. I'm super disgusted by the anti-immigration rhetoric. It's just wild, especially when you live in a major border city. It sucks. You guys are awesome, though. Cheers to this garbage. Ugh, LOL. Thank you so much. Yeah, the immigration is insane. The focus on immigration is bonkers to me.
Yeah.
But I guess of all the issues that Republicans stake their identity on, abortion, now trans issues, just generally being anti-LGBTQ and abortion, immigration is the only one that they can really win.
Right, yeah. But I think the immigration is the only one that they have like a leg, not even a leg up on, but the only one that they might be able to win simply because so many voters don't actually know the nuances of our immigration system and how terrible it is unless they pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of talk about straight up abolishing sanctuary cities, which is crazy because sanctuary cities are in response to draconian immigration system, the draconian immigration system in the United States. That's the only reason they exist.
I bet that's going to be another topic at the Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis debate on November 30th.
I don't see that there's any way for a president to eliminate sanctuary cities, though. It's really a state-by-state thing.
Yeah, that's pretty
even
anti-federalist of them. And as principled federalists.
Talk about big government.
How they can take that. Yeah, talk about overreach.
I actually love federalism. The layered cake of our democracy.
Absolutely.
Head-on. Thank you so much.
20 New Zealand dollars.
Nice.
Nuts.
Thank you so much.
I can't win. Man. Scott's been one of the next to fall. Do you think that Scott's the next to fall?
Tim Scott, maybe
after Burgum.
It was Burgum and Pence on the wings, so it's got to be those two.
I think, especially after tonight, when Scott seems like he made himself stand out a little bit more. Pence didn't do anything this time.
He didn't do too much. They skipped the makeup for some reason on Mike Pence.
Yeah,
Pence, I do love that they all get makeuped up. You know what I'm saying? I think it's awesome.
Pence tried really hard to interrupt, but they did not let him.
Yeah,
and I appreciated that.
Burgum too said, "I have to jump in." No, you don't.
Could not stop yapping. Broda had a 2-hour yap session if he could have.
Oh my God, I know. He would have said more fascist things. He would have said the 14 words on stage, dog. He would have hit us with the 14 words if he could have, if allowed more time. Could you imagine Doug Burgum wins the primary? That shit would be goated.
I'd love that.
Oh my God, President Burgum.
If we could get to a general fucking Joe Biden versus Doug Burgum on the debate stage 3 in a row.
Could you imagine RFK Jr. versus Doug Burgum?
That'd be good.
That shit would be ridiculous.
That would
be good. Oh man.
Doug Burgum to the left of RFK Jr.
Yeah. If we're thinking dream matchups.
Write a theory craft here. If we had to go fantasy football this next election cycle.
Maybe we should start that. Make some money off of it.
Facts. Lord knows we need it. Did anyone catch what Pence wanted
School
to apply
shooters.
the death penalty? Yeah, it's school shooters. That's why it kind of blew my mind, because most of them, do it themselves.
Yeah.
And that's never the point. Like, measures like that can't deter someone who already wants to do that.
Yeah. Also, it doesn't do anything. All it does is, it doesn't even offer a solution. It just punishes them on the back end.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything to stop school
Also,
shootings to begin with.
Notice with the school shooter thing, none of them even brought up mental health again.
Mm-mm.
They either went to, Democrats just want to take our guns. They're just punishing everyday citizens. You know what's punishing everyday citizens?
The fear of school shootings.
The threat of school shootings. Being in school shootings. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy.
God.
Registered Republican so you can vote in the primaries and F up the stats. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When if you're in a Republican state, then like that's kind of your only option.
That's true.
If they have closed primaries.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Newsom DeSantis debate. That's not going to be for a while though. We have several podcasts before we get to that point.
Absolutely. We have lots of material to cover before we get there. The landscape could change completely.
Man, we also have to watch in preparation for next episode the Trump rally, or at least get the lowdown on it, which is going to be exhausting.
I bet it was a dud.
Maybe, yeah.
I bet 100% it was a dud. I would imagine that he is upset about the debate going on right now. He's maybe upset that he wasn't more of a focus. Well, he wouldn't have known that while doing it, even though Christie thought he watched.
Yeah, I know you're watching.
That's a crazy thing to say, honestly. That's embarrassing.
Oh, man, Donald the Duck.
But I feel like Donald...
Casual King, thank you
so much. They only brought up mental illness when it came to trans people. Naturally.
Yeah.
Naturally. We know who we're dealing with after all, I guess. Fuck,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, the way that they can just casually state genocidal policies when it comes to trans people is insane to me. And we've been talking about this for a while, that like, yeah, it's an attempted genocide.
Yeah.
It's what they want to do, no matter how conciliatory they are about it when it comes to trans children. But it's crazy to me how you can just state policies you want to implement that would make life significantly worse for a super small portion, super vulnerable portion of the population. It's disgusting.
Well,
it's disgusting.
I just think on the topic of like trans genocide and people being unwilling to accept it, they don't acknowledge that it's genocide in the fact that they want all people who identify this way to be gone, to stop identifying that way. Genocide isn't necessarily just forcibly executing everyone.
Right.
It is erasing that identity, not allowing people to identify like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh my God, bruh. But it's still weird not hearing more about it after that's the focus of so much this past year.
Hey, now, no virgin shaming. So to be clear, we're not virgin shaming him at all.
No. We're Tim Scott shaming.
If you don't know where this comes from, Tim Scott did an interview, I don't know how long ago, and the interviewer asked him, because Tim Scott used to be big on abstinence policies, he would go and present to students about abstinence, and he's never been married. So one would think, deductively, if you're pro-abstinence, not having sex until marriage because you're a good Christian, and you're advocating for these policies, and you're unmarried, then you probably haven't had sex, right? So the journalist asked him this. He deflected, didn't offer an answer. So our theory is that he deflected because he is a virgin. Again, that's no shaming. I just want him to come clean with the American people. That's all I want. I want him to be clear.
I wouldn't want the president to lie to people.
Yeah, no, I don't want him to lie. I want you to be clear about who you are.
All the journalist did was she broke down his beliefs axiomatically and logically built them back up. Like,
yeah. Reviewed the evidence as a good journalist would and pressed him on it.
Oh my God. Christie staring directly at the camera floored me. That was a jump scare. Truly.
Yeah, why did he do that?
I don't know.
That should be illegal. You shouldn't be allowed. They should hide the cameras.
I don't know. They should have cut away from him.
Yeah.
Immediately wide shot.
Oh, man. Scott could just be making up great Republican points and Trump would say, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Man.
I can't wait to see what Trump has to say on Truth Social after this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like he's going to bitch about Christie.
I mean, you know he's going to like watch a recording of it because he loves TV. He's a TV guy.
Absolutely. Me too. I mean, shit.
Yeah, I just love content.
Yeah, fuck.
So he's going to do something in response. He's going to respond in some way or at least watch it. But I don't know if he's really going to go that crazy. I didn't really see him do too much after the first debate, did he?
You know what? Yeah, I don't think so. As long as he hits a hey dumbass, I was at a rally.
Yeah.
And I was not watching, I'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
I'll be satisfied and I'll think he's so back.
He's so back.
He's so back.
I need him to hit. I need him to say Meatball Ron or something other than Ron DeSantis. It's just so boring. Republicans are boring now.
What the fuck?
What happened to the Republicans of summer 2022? You know what I'm saying? When they were advocating for literally killing women. Now they're just so boring. It's the same shit.
God damn.
Same contrived talking points. Come up with something new.
Yeah.
Did Pence talk past the buzzer more than twice? I don't know.
No.
I didn't catch that.
It wasn't Pence. It was Scott, right?
Yes,
but I
he
think
definitely
it's in a gray area of whether or not he continued to talk past the buzzer. He got dinged twice. I do know that.
We should put a ding on the board.
We should put a ding on the soundboard. Hell yeah. We should also put the. I couldn't spoil it for y'all.
Yeah, no, he had to turn the mics off.
I had to turn the mics off.
He cut the mics. Cut the mics.
Hey, yo. Wouldn't that be gas, though? We're watching the third debate, and then I just hit the green button.
So many 9/11 references.
That was
It has
crazy.
to just be because, like, we're 2 weeks out from 9/11, but we got so many more than I thought we would. Like, okay, RNC, you missed your moment for 9/11 questions.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I feel like the after 9/11 is not, like, the time to be bringing it up. You got to bring it up the before 9/11. Because the last debate was a month ago, yeah?
Yeah.
Way
Just
more
about
relevant.
exactly a month ago.
Way more fucking relevant.
Yeah.
Man, it really, somebody said insert the lowest Family Guy meme, and it really was that.
Yep.
It really was straight up just 9/11. Huh? Two people talked over a second ding? Who else talked over a second ding? I guess I wasn't fucking
Probably
watching
fucking
then.
Doug Burgum, his dumbass.
Bruh.
I'm looking for the Berg surge. You know what I'm saying? Bird surge in the polls.
Hell yeah.
Doug Burgum 100% after this debate.
Burgum Surgum.
I need that Burgum Surgum. Come on. As long as we don't have John Bolton, it's the Burgum Surgum.
Man, I miss that guy. Imagine if John Bolton was on the debate stage. All of his foreign policy expertise.
Yeah.
He really could have given some intelligent takes.
He'd be like,
up
no,
there.
let me tell you what's going on with Iran. I can tell you.
Let me tell you. Tim Scott being a 9/11 truther was cool.
There was like a portion there where Doug Burgum didn't get to respond for like 30 minutes. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
They just didn't go to him. And I thought that was
trying
sick.
to interrupt, too.
Yeah. I thought that was so awesome.
So, well, thank you, Alexia. Talking gas price poll for the boys. How much really is gas everywhere else?
It's like, what, $3.50 near us right now?
Near us, it's like $3.50, $3.70.
Yeah.
Which it's like, that shit hurts when you drive an hour to work every day.
No, yeah, it definitely hurts. It's a major problem for a lot
Yeah.
of people. But obviously Republicans don't have any solution for that.
No.
I'm surprised they're not talking about the, what was that pipeline that Biden stopped?
$5 in Washington State, bruh? Whew.
What's the pipeline that Biden stopped?
The Willow Project? Is that what
No.
you're talking? No. Oh, Keystone XL.
Keystone
yeah,
pipeline.
That's why I'm
surprised we don't
suffering
get
right
that
now.
anymore. Because obviously opening up new drilling like tomorrow would not reduce gas prices anytime soon.
No.
It takes a long time for gas to be refined or oil to be refined to a point where you can put it into your car.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not just something you can do right away. And that's on top of the fact that Biden has unleashed new drilling plans.
Yeah, bro approved the Willow Project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Massively
regularly catches
fucking
flack.
invasive. It's something that liberals talk about all the time, as they should, because the Willow Project is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
It's a horrible way to unleash America's energy.
I'm telling you, man, like I'm not a big STEM dude, obviously. I don't know that much about green energy, but I'm telling you from an economic standpoint, if the United States really wanted to be like the world competitor, we would develop a fuck ton of green technology, copyright all of it, patent all of it, and then start selling it around the world.
Not like that's the best thing to do.
No, it's not. But if they wanted to be serious about like U.S. energy and that being kind of like the center of global energy and a way to fuel economic growth, then that's what they would want to do.
Yeah, I don't remember who exactly it was. It might have been Pence who said we are sitting on we are sitting on some of the largest oil and natural gas reserves. If we just unleash that, we'd be the richest nation in the country in some context, as if we're not the richest nation in the country in general.
On the planet, yeah.
Or some shit. I don't remember exactly what the context was. But we could also do that if we unleash the enormous amounts of capital here into investments in, I don't know, the enormous amounts of like STEM projects that we have to just fund green energy, to become leaders in green energy, to lead that in the world, then to, I guess, do economic imperialism if I'm to make concessions and bring that everywhere else.
And not even to mention the fact that we wouldn't be destroying the Earth. Right?
Yeah.
With energy sources that are kill people.
Fallible.
Yeah. Also, I looked it up while Ron Desantis was talking. Apparently, he either did or has advocated for banning fracking in the state of Florida. That is true. It might not have happened. He might not have been like the sole actor there, but he definitely has advocated for it. That is the truth.
That's why, that's literally why you and Donovan both are exactly why we need just fact checkers at these sort of debates.
Yeah.
Why is it that in the year of our Lord 2023 we can get out here and just let these people lie? What a relic of the past. We have the capability to just stop them in their tracks right now. We have the capability to say, okay, Ron, did you actually stop fracking? He says no. Get him on that.
Yeah.
Get his dumb ass. Force these people to be accountable.
Yeah, Fox News making hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. You're telling me they can't have a live fact checker when we have a guy that just helps us out? Doing it for two dumbasses that wanted to live stream the second GOP debate. They could absolutely pay an army of people to fact check live. But I don't think they're really interested in that, of course.
They could have 3 fucking people in the back room. They could have them just like my guy that called Arizona before everybody else in the 2020 election, back there fact checking preemptively before things even happen. Getting
9
out there,
o'clock.
no, actually.
9 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, no, mathematically, he cannot win Arizona. Take that back.
Man, that shit was good. That's probably my favorite. That's like my favorite moment in politics in a long time.
Yeah,
that was good.
Fox News calling it just hours before everybody else.
I can't believe they made like the stats, dude. They wheeled them out in front of everybody on election night and said, all right, explain yourself. Explain why we, Fox News, called Arizona for Joe Biden hours before anyone else could, when like, I don't know, 30% of the vote was in.
Yeah.
God, that fucked. Oh, he's right. We can't forget to hold China accountable. Sarah's right. We can't forget to hold China accountable.
The crazy thing about that is like Saudi Arabia is the country we should be holding accountable when it comes to
we
oil
won't
prices.
hold them accountable for anything.
No, of course not, because they control OPEC. And they're also a fucking monarchy. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's obviously not China.
And 9/11, but
well, that's true. That's crazy. And they killed an American journalist.
Yes.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Recently.
Recently?
Wasn't that like...
Oh, that was under Trump, yeah.
That was under Trump, and then Trump was confronted about it.
And he didn't do anything.
Bro straight up said, it'd be bad for business.
Yes. That's so sick.
And we let him get away with it.
An
bro.
American journalist is just executed, and we just let it slide.
And then the president, the leader of the free world, gets on there and just goes, it'd be bad for business. I don't think we could do anything about it. You know, it's a complicated situation.
Of all the things to let slide.
Of all the things that 9/11 and that's crazy. That's a crazy record of letting things slide, honestly. The America I knew wouldn't let that slide. The America that invaded, I don't know, everybody else shouldn't have let that slide. Fuck.
Oh man. Oh my God.
Thank you so much. It's insane the amount of tracking back to China and completely unrelated topics. The cop one is what got me the most. There was another one like later on, 20 minutes after that, where I looked at the chat for 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I read something silly. And then I go back and I turn my ears back on and it's China.
Mm-hmm.
Unrelated. Is this an issue that GOP primary voters are just like going crazy for?
I don't know. I honestly don't know where all this like anti-China rhetoric is coming from, especially because, as we said earlier, none of their critiques of China are really...
Oh, they're all fake. It's just boogeyman.
Yeah, none of them actually go after things that China actually does bad, which is like... I don't know where, like, the fear-mongering just logically, of course, doesn't really make any sense. I think it's just like the China bad rhetoric, right? You need an international boogeyman that you can blame things on. And then once you get into the White House, if any of them get into the White House, nothing is really done about China.
The Fox stats guy testified live at the January 6 hearings. That's so sick. Oh my God.
He was a part of the coup, the Joe Biden coup.
He got out there and said, mathematically, Trump never could have won any of this, bro. I called it way before. I called it at 6 p.m. before the votes were even in.
Well, the anti-China stuff definitely kicked up more with COVID, but the GOP's been on like an anti-China streak for quite a long time. And Democrats too, by the way. I remember in the 2019 Democratic debates, there was a point where there was like 19 of them on stage or something crazy. And there was a point where the moderators say like, what is the biggest threat facing us today? And a good chunk of them said it's China.
God damn.
It's like not climate change.
Yeah, and we used to cover like
China.
saber rattling we did with China back when we first started the pod a lot. And I had felt like China rhetoric had died down.
Yeah.
Like a good bit. But I guess not. I guess the GOP primary voter is just really stuck on that issue.
Some of it is straight up just like racism, right? Like anti-Asian
100%,
racism.
yeah.
No doubt. But there's definitely something more to it. And I don't really know. I guess I just don't understand what they're trying to do with that. I think it's just the boogeyman thing, right? We got to get something. We have to convince the population that there's something scary to justify all of our foreign intervention. I think that's always what it's going to be. And some of the foreign intervention can be good if it's like, if we're putting like sanctions on some areas to stop, you know, the persecution of Uyghur Muslims in China. But of course, a lot of the times when we're doing economic intervention, it's not
Thank you, Mefra.
to ever help anybody.
Has Project 2025 been covered on the pod? I forgot.
We've talked about it a little bit, I think, but we've never done like a dedicated section on it. It's mostly it's the Heritage Foundation thing.
Oh,
it's their plan to control conservative legislatures and local governments to like overthrow, to overthrow elections if they need to.
Love the Heritage Foundation. My 115 just cleared Chinese customs. Hell yeah.
maybe we need to cover the Project 2025
more in depth.
Yeah. A lot of people have taken it very seriously, and I think it's fair to take that kind of thing seriously. It is just like straight up a plan to overthrow the government if they need to, like to install conservative leaders wherever they can so that they can seize political power and keep it for themselves. Like that is a big deal. But it's a think tank, right? Like they don't have any actual political control.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we've already said that conservatives are going to try to do that. Like obviously, right?
Oh yeah.
That's like the conservative playbook. Beyond whatever the Heritage Foundation can articulate in a document.
The brief aside on no Chinese students in universities was crazy. That's something they've hit before, though. I can't remember who it was, but it was also the Eugene Wu, the girl that went after Eugene Wu in the Texas house.
Yes.
She said some shit about no Chinese students. Yeah. That was fucking crazy.
Enemy of the people.
Enemy of the people. That's a really
episode
old
like
episode.
what, 15, 20?
Episode titles used to be vicious, I swear.
We've been defanged.
I know.
As we try to appeal to a broad electorate.
Look at what's happening to us. Look at what's man. I'm still stuck on that one comment. Wow, trying to watch the debate, guys, and I love your sarcastic commentary. I'm a liberal, but this is too much. Why are you platforming the debate? At least allow people to watch it, bro.
It's a fascist manifesto. Yeah, I mean, I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's exactly what they're trying to do.
It is the Heritage Foundation.
Maybe I need to read through it more, but I guess I don't know what distinguishes it from like a GOP party platform, right?
Yeah.
Like fundamentally, what are they calling for that's different? I don't know if we've gotten a GOP party platform in a while though.
No, we will coming up, like a national GOP party platform.
We didn't get one in 2020. They didn't issue one. We got one in 2016, and it was like literally overturned gay marriage rights, shit like that.
I want to say we got one like a year and a half ago because we covered a platform. I don't think it was a national party one though. I think it was like the Texas GOP party platform.
Yeah, we've covered many documents.
There was one GOP party platform. I don't know if it was like the national party or if it was the Texas party, but there was one for like a bigger organization like that straight up was talking about just like gay people being bad. I do explicitly remember that.
There was a Rick Scott's 25 point, or not 20, it was 11
Vivek's
point plan.
Oh,
and then back when you first dotted Vivek,
yeah,
when we first found him, before I'd heard anything about this guy, this dude finds a 25-point plan from Vivek, and we dig into it months before anybody learns about Vivek.
We've been there since the start.
Yeah.
We've been around the block. That's all I'm going to say.
That's so sick. We're just on top of the news. That's why you should like, comment, subscribe, become a patron.
Hell yeah.
All that stuff.
Christie, be no international students from China. I do think that they would disallow just Chinese students in too. I don't think they'd stop at just international students from China. I think that they would just not let any Chinese person in.
I mean, America's got a pretty bad record of just like straight up banning certain ethnicities from entering the country. There's been a Chinese people ban before, the Chinese Exclusion Act, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Muslim ban where we just banned people from certain countries. That was Trump, by
There
the
was
way.
straight up only allowing people who achieved crazy economic feats in their home country to come over here.
Anyways.
What a rich history.
Yeah, what a great history the United States has. All right, gang. Does this bring us to the end of our live stream?
I think that brings us to the end of this 2023 GOP debate coverage, part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2.
I'm getting exhausted. Part 3, part 4.
Part 3. There better not be a part 4.
He's tired of it.
There's no way that there can be a part 4 because I'm already wondering what possibly they could talk about in a part 3, unless something's insane happens. Maybe they brought up September 10th because they know something wild is going to go down before the next one. But
this is our September 10th.
Holy shit!
They got some insider information.
I guess they're just going to hit immigration hard again.
I loved the 9/11 trutherism. That shit was great.
That was good because like
George Bush knew, guys.
When she brought up September 10th, she had to have been talking about like nobody would have anticipated that.
Yeah,
like nobody on September 10th would have anticipated what happened on September 11th. But it sounded like real truthery, especially after what Tim Scott said.
And then the Mussolini quote.
And was it Dana Perino who brought up how we had intelligence talking about 9/11 before it happened, and we ignored it, or was that Tim?
No, I think that was her.
Because that's hella 9/11 truther.
Well, it's true, though.
It is true.
We did have intelligence on it, but like,
it's all true.
You can get to a really slippery slope with that kind of stuff. A lot of people take it far, and then you get to like the dancing Israelis conspiracy theory and shit like that. I think the September 10th thing, what she meant to say was like, in the same way that we had information about a crisis on September 10th, we have information about crises now, and we're doing nothing with it. But I don't really know exactly what she meant. Like, is she talking inflation?
No, because
is there going to be a terrorist attack?
She said before that no president had ever addressed Al Qaeda before that happened.
Yeah,
like publicly. So, and then they pivoted into cartels. So I think she's trying to link Al Qaeda and their 9/11 terrorist attack and their various terrorist attacks with cartels coming across the border, despite earlier admitting that 50% of the drugs, the fent that's trafficked across the border, comes from natural-born U.S. citizens.
Oh yeah, that was from the moderator who the British guy couldn't pronounce the name of.
Yes,
that was sick.
Yes,
I love how she said more than 50% of fentanyl trafficked across the borders from U.S. citizens at regular ports of entry. What are you going to do about it? And DeSantis' answer is like, yeah, I'm going to drone strike Mexico.
Yeah, fuck off.
What are we talking about? It's American citizens doing this. For the most part, at least.
Man, shit.
Crazy.
That was an experience.
Yeah, I'm a Bergam head. I'm a Bergenator.
Bergam head. I'm Virgin for Bergam. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just like the underdogs.
That's yeah. I wish my boy Asa was up there too.
Yeah. Well, all right, gang. Thank you all for coming out. It was very fun being able to watch this debate with you all.
You know, we all love hanging out with you.
We hope you all enjoyed it, and we love you forever.
Hope you have a great night. Sleep tight. Are we still on?